Well, good afternoon, Panthers and Baycats fans. Welcome to IBL Baseball. We are live at Jack Couch Park. It is the Kitchener Panthers taking on the Barrie Baycats. Mark Pare and Julius Hern here in the broadcast booth with you here at Jack Couch Park. And Julius, this is a battle between two teams that are quite familiar with each other, to say the very least. Of course, just doing battle this past Thursday.
Yeah, and like that Thursday game, yeah, it didn't seem like as close as the Panthers would have wanted it to. They got the 3 runs on bases loaded walks, but that was the first game they had lost in since their 5-game win streak, and they're right back in the win column after a W on Friday. So they're looking to carry that momentum into today's matchup against Barrie, the first time these two teams have played here since last year's playoffs.
Yes, indeed, and quite the playoff series it was. Of course, the Panthers taking down London, and then ran out of steam, if you will, against the Baycats. And the Baycats obviously going to the IBL final last year to try and get some more of that luster that they got on their 6th championship run before the pandemic hit. For yourself, of course, the Barrie Baycats 15-8 on the year. They're just a few games behind Welland for first place in the IBL. What has Barrie been doing so well this season to get where they are? Is it more offense, defense? I know we were talking about it just before we went on to the air, but they've been playing a lot of close games.
That's really been the key. Their bullpen has kept them in ball games, especially over the last couple weeks or so. A lot of 1-run, 2-run wins. That win on Thursday against the Panthers was their first win by at least over 2 runs in quite a long time. So it's been an entire team effort over the last couple of weeks, offensively and defensively, and even on the mound.
Absolutely. For the Kitchener Panthers, winners of 6 of their last 7. Obviously, you touched on it. The lone blemish is that game against Barrie on Thursday. They come back, a 7-5 victory over Hamilton. Some clutch hitting in that one as well. And they have been really closing the gap as of late when it comes to where they are in the standings. Of course, they're kind of judged in the mix along with Chatham, Kent, Brantford, and Toronto at the bottom. But it seems like they're starting to turn a corner here.
Yeah, and I think a great example of that is Raul Gonzalez, who's really turned it around over the last couple weeks, still on a 13-game on-base streak. And it was right around this time last year where at least I was saying he looks like an MVP candidate, and that same kind of form for him is kind of indicative of the way the team has been playing over the last couple weeks, really rounding into form and making a push for the upper half of the IBL standings.
We got the national anthems here. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we got some baseball here at Jack Couch. Stay with us.
At Heathwood Homes, tradition means a lot. Their reputation for quality, service, and customer care are all part of Heathwood's tradition. And that has made them the most successful new home builder. Thousands of people are now proud to be living in a Heathwood home in one of their many outstanding communities. And you can too. Visit heathwood.com to learn more about their fabulous communities. With Heathwood, you'll be home at last.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius Hern here in the broadcast booth at Jack Couch Park as we get a look at the starting lineup for the Barrie Baycats. You can see it on the screen there. Kenise Ejo, Brandon Hernandez, and Hayden Jaco will be due up here for the Baycats. And Julius, just to kind of speak about what the top of the lineup has been able to do here for the Baycats, maybe take me through some of the recent success. It seems like Kenise Gijo has been getting on base quite a few times lately, hits in 3 of his last 4 games overall.
A big reason for that, he's been able to have much more power this year as opposed to last year. A good example of that, 2 doubles last night in a huge 6-5, really team win against the Welland Jackfish. I think for him, that was a big off-season goal of his, was to kind of bulk up a little bit, put a bit more power into his game to complement the speed that you obviously see on the base paths and in center field. Meanwhile, for Brandon Hernandez, he's a new Baycat, but a guy with plenty of pro experience. Having been in the St. Louis Cardinals organizations, 3 for 5 last night. And then Hayden Jaco, who's been kind of right around the top in on-base percentage and batting average, if not at the top. So Ejo and Jaco will be starters in the All-Star games, and both those players well-deserved.
So we take a look back here. Live play, they will all be taking on Jose Vasquez here for the Kitchener Panthers. And Jose Vasquez, of course, started the year as a starter, as that was going to get through the gap. And Kenise Ejo, just like that, make it hits in 4 of his last 5 ball games.
Yeah, he'd had a close to double-digit hit streak until just a few days ago, and he's right back at it again.
And particular there, Julius, is making contact early on in the count. Is that something you have been seeing a little bit more with this Baycats team, just trying to be aggressive early on in the count?
For the most part, absolutely. They're a very eager to hit team, and strikeouts were a struggle last year, and I think to combat that, you swing away early, be much more aggressive.
Brandon Hernandez, the batter, wearing number 11, as the Baycats, of course, wearing their away blues this afternoon. Throw over to first, not in time.
Yeah, Ejo, 11 stolen bases on the season, only been caught once. Got a real dancing lead over there at first, not getting looked over.
And they're going to call for time, as it seems like that dancing was really being a bit of a distraction there for the Panthers.
Well, Ejo set the single-season Baycats stolen base record last year at 26. Already has 11 so far this year through 23 games, so possibly looking to break his own record later this year.
Contact made there. And that one gets through Raul Gonzalez for a base hit. So a couple of singles to lead things off here for the Barrie Baycats. They're starting to cook. They're starting to cook here early on.
Yeah, they're bringing up a guy, Hayden Jaco, who's one of only 2 players in the league who walks more than he strikes out among qualified hitters. Him and Seth Strong of Chatham-Kent. So the guy that much more likely to get on base. Real tough test for this Panthers defense and pitching staff right off the bat.
Yeah, Seth Strong, what a season he has started to garner. Of course, IBL Rookie of the Year favorite in my opinion. IBL MVP candidate as well.
Absolutely.
Hayden Jaco will bunt that one down the third base side. It's going to go just foul.
Surprised he didn't pull the bat back from that. It was quite a high pitch to lay down a bunt. Had to keep that bat on an angle.
Of course, Jaco hitting 344 on the season. Can be a catcher, can be an infielder. Have you been seeing him more as an infielder or a catcher here?
Well, Tyler Plumpton, at least to my surprise, has taken a lot of the time behind the dish this year. But Jaco is going to be starting the All-Star game as a catcher, as he has listed that. But you've seen him much more at third base this year.
Definitely one of those 5-tool guys that you can have in the lineup. Big bat, it can play almost anywhere on defense as well. The 0-1, the runners are going to go. Throw over to third and in time. So they will get Ejo. Hernandez will trot on over to second base. And just like that, it's an 0-2 count.
Well, Hernandez didn't break off the pitch there. He went as the tag was being applied, and nobody was covering second base anyway.
And that one's sent up high. Playable. And the infielder Tyler Henriquez at shortstop will make the catch, 2 away.
And Jacob looked like he was trying to do a little bit too much with that one there. Just got under it a bit too much. That's going to leave Hernandez at second base with 2 out. That's a huge second out for Kitchener.
Something they definitely needed. So Nolan Mackey-Broda, the left fielder, steps in the batter's box here. And that one early on in the count, going over to first and in time. So no runners come across. The Panthers and the Baycats remain scoreless as we head to the bottom of the first. Stay with us. This is Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube.
Oh, when it comes time to muck a mammoth meal, just dial up Domino's to rally a rip up the road and drop off a pair of piping pies. Canada's top pie. Everything about these beauties is top shelf from Z to A, eh? Domino's. Just send it, bud.
It's a new season of baseball, and with that comes new merchandise in the Jack Couch Park merchandise tent and online store. Make sure to check out our huge selection of new wearables to cheer on your team. We have replica jerseys, jackets, pullovers, hats, scarves, and blankets for those chilly evening games. Our shops have all different sizes to choose from, and we will try our best to fit you with Panthers authorized gear. Make sure to check us out at our merchandise tent at the front gate when you enter into the park, or visit our shop online at KitchenerPanthers.com and click on Shop. We want our fans to wear our gear proud and loud and cheer on your Panthers.
Something. Wow. Wild.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius Hern here in the broadcast booth, and here is the starting lineup for the Kitchener Panthers. It's going to be Blake Jacklin, Spencer Ross, and Raul Gonzalez to lead things off for them. And that's the thing where you're seeing with Spencer Ross, he's been playing a lot deeper into the lineup, but just the way that he has been playing as of late, hits in 6 of his last 7 games, has earned this position in the number 2 hole here for the Kitchener Panthers. And, you touched on him real quick, Raul Gonzalez, what a tear he's been on as of late.
Absolutely. And Spencer Ross complements that really well, hitting ahead of him, and he's been one of the best hitters in terms of average in this Panthers lineup already this year, hitting well over 300. So definitely a huge 1-2 punch, 2 and 3 in that Kitchener Panthers order for Juan Benitez to watch out for.
Yeah, you talked before we were in commercials and how efficient Jose Vasquez was in the first inning. 7 pitches needed to get out of it, all 7 of them going for strikes. But Juan Benitez, he has been efficient.
Absolutely, and his last start was maybe one of his best in his IBL career. Complete game the last week against the Toronto Maple Leafs, I believe, and it was 9 innings, a complete game. Huge momentum swing for Juan Benitez. Maybe that start propelled him into his All-Star selection. You could definitely make that case, but he was under 100 pitches for that 9-inning performance. It's against Chatham Kent, pardon me.
So that one goes downstairs for ball 2, and again, it's nothing new for Juan Benitez. I mean, he's been around these parts for a little while now, and he's just got that quality, brings some heat, and he's just got that large frame as well that just looks so imposing on the mound.
Well, the thing for him, pitching-wise, is he's not going to overwhelm you with velocity, but he's so crafty. He can place his pitches so well. He's not going to go after the strikeout. He just wants to get you out as quick as possible and as easy as possible.
Benitez in his 4th IBL season. Of course, a second-team All-Star back in 2021. The 2-2. That one sent up high. Into the outfield it goes, and all the way back, and that one is going to be caught on the run by Nolan Mackey-Broda. Good catch there by the left fielder.
Looked like it spun him around a little bit as he was heading towards the warning track. Really had to be wary for where the wall was going to be as he spun around there, but nonetheless, a great effort going over the shoulder there for Mackey-Broda.
So 1 away here for Spencer Ross. As we alluded to, 6 of his last 7 games, he has gotten a hit. So a guy that's hitting .412 in the month of July. Just what a tear he has been on as of late. And to bring us an opportunity now to, well, first of all, we're going to watch that one get through. That gets into the outfield and a base hit for Spencer Ross.
Put it in a perfect place right there. Both Hayden Jaco at third and Brandon Hernandez at short had to dive over to try and come up with that ball, but right in between them on a perfect line that neither of them were able to come up with it.
Yeah, like see if I can see it. Maybe do a couple of like here. Raul Gonzalez now in the batter's box, facing a 1-0 count. That one drops low, 2-0. Again, Raul Gonzalez reaching base on 13 straight ball games. Had a hitting streak, a lengthy one snapped in Kitchener's last outing against Hamilton. That one's chopped down the line, just foul. Rick Boone almost making a catch there for the Panthers.
Well, in Barrie on Thursday also had his 5-game RBI streak snapped. He wasn't able to come through in a couple key situations. Had the bases loaded multiple times in that game, and ended up flew out on both those occasions.
That one goes up high. Ejo's going to camp underneath it. He'll make the catch, and that will retire Gonzalez 2 away. Couple of flyouts, and now Nick Parsons steps up.
First baseman number 58, Nick Parsons.
Well, if you want to talk about a guy on a hitting streak, Nick Parsons is your man. 13 games already for this guy, and he's been a key contributor, definitely worthy of being in that cleanup spot for the Panthers this season.
Guy can make the baseball leave the ballpark in a hurry. Throw over to first, and not in time. Trying to pick off Spencer Ross, who was trotting off of first base a little bit there.
Spencer Ross only has one stolen base attempt this year, but it was a successful one.
The delivery just missing on the outside corner. Your umpires for today, Jamie Killingsworth is the crew chief. He is calling the balls and strikes in behind home plate. Jacob Gavallo is over at first, and Preston Hughes working third. That one's going to go inside. 2-0. The 2-0, that one's going to be cued into left field, and that will go right into the glove of Maki Broda, and they will retire the side. So a runner stranded, and we're heading to the second. It's 0-0 here at Jack Couch. Stay with us. This is Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube.
Panthers, no run.
It's a new season of baseball, and with that comes new merchandise in the Jack Couch Park merchandise tent and online store. Make sure to check out our huge selection of new wearables to cheer on your team. We have replica jerseys, jackets, pullovers, hats, scarves, and blankets for those chilly evening games. Our shops have all different sizes to choose from, and we will try our best to fit you with Panthers authorized gear. Make sure to check us out at our merchandise tent at the front gate when you enter into the park, or visit our shop online at KitchenerPanthers.com and click on Shop. We want our fans to wear our gear proud and loud and cheer on your Panthers.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius Hern here with you. Of course, Julius making the trip over from Barrie. How was the drive?
It was actually faster than I would have thought. It's my first time actually at Jack Couch Park, so I'm having a blast actually so far.
You're wearing some Water the Warriors gear here as well.
Yeah, I didn't get a any good praise from the Baycats for wearing that, but I figured I'd put something on for joining you guys today.
Well, we love to have you.
Royce Ando.
So Royce Ando will lead things off here. Number 7 for the Barrie Baycats in his 4th IBL season. Of course, former member of Michigan State University.
He's Big Ten All-Academic during his times at Spartan.
Yeah, we're in the all green. As a Tom Brady fan, though, I'm a sworn enemy.
For Michigan?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, Michigan Wolverines swing and a miss for strike 1. And yeah, what a career he had after that. Didn't do too badly with the New England Patriots. And, of course, later on, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So you're a Michigan guy through and through, you'd say?
Say through and through, I'm a Michigan guy just for Tom Brady. I don't really have an allegiance in college sports in the NCAA per se. Followed Auburn when, particularly when they ended up beating. Was that game in 2011 when they beat Alabama?
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
The Iron Bowl, the kick.
Oh yeah,
six.
yeah. A roommate of mine was a huge Auburn fan, and we were watching that one, and
That's awesome.
he celebrated. Let's just put it that way.
The call on that never gets old, I will say.
Absolutely. The 2-2 swing and a miss. Strike 3, first strikeout of the ball game for
First baseman number 27.
Jose Vasquez.
Strikeouts have been a kind of a key problem for Ando. He has been able to put bats to ball decently in his few appearances this year, but he has struck out in each game he's played so far in the 2024 IBL season.
Now, as I touched on before with Jose Vasquez, a guy that is more of a guy coming out of the bullpen these days. As I talked about before, he started the season as a starter, notably had a complete game victory over the London Majors earlier on this season. That came on May 24th, but has been coming out of the bullpen more often. He came out, pitched an inning and a third, and got the victory over Hamilton on Friday. Swing and a miss by Ryan Rio for a strike.
Well, it seems like often he's put in situations where he's the pitcher to make up the decision. His last 2 appearances, he's picked up the win, but the 2 before that, losses here at home to Welland and Toronto. So really put in those key situations, especially late in games, but here getting the start this afternoon.
And again, it's kind of a balancing act, right? Yeah, you had Pedro de los Santos start against Hamilton. Yadier Martinez starts in Barrie on Thursday. The delivery. Haven't really seen Dakota Parsons as of late.
Yeah, I would have thought he would have been the starter today. But he's another guy, converted outfielder into a pitcher, and he's shown the velocity has been there. He's been putting up strikeouts, but he's putting up a ton of walks and hit by pitches, especially this year. Hasn't really kind of lasered in that control as of yet this year.
Vasquez sets up for the 2-1. Swing and a miss for a strike. Yeah, again, there's Parsons, Martinez. Again, Vasquez getting a number of starts. De Los Santos has started in 6 games already for the Panthers. It feels like just yesterday that they signed him.
Yeah, coming over from Guelph, Andy Leader going the other way. Definitely a huge, possibly, season-altering transaction, you could say. Still waiting to see how that one plays out.
Oh, you're thinking Garcia. Because it was Garcia and De La Cruz Paez. This will complete the 4-3. Yeah, Vasquez, he's been around here for a couple of seasons now. Of course, a Cambridge native, comes into the lineup. Again, looked as more of a shutdown guy last year. Came on a lot in the late innings, starting to convert a little bit more into a starter. But he said, you know what, I feel a little bit more comfortable as, a guy coming out of the pen as opposed to a starter.
That's very interesting because I found that a lot of guys, they like starting because they can kind of tailor their warm-ups and their entire routine because they know they have that time before the game. Whereas if you're coming out of the bullpen, you really have no idea at any given time your manager can call on you to come out of the game or come into the game, and you're going from cold to hot in a very limited time.
I mean, some guys just have that thing in their
It's
brain,
very
right?
interesting. Like there's even some guys. I remember talking to Evan Souls when he was with the Baycats earlier or last year. I asked him this, and he said he didn't really feel a difference of coming out of the bullpen or going into a start in terms of what he was doing to prepare himself or the time that he had. He didn't really find a difference. But a lot of pitchers I found that asked lately that same question find that they feel rushed coming out of the bullpen.
Well, Malik Williams, the designated hitter, is in the batter's box here taking on Vasquez. And I'm curious to see how long the leash will be on Vasquez. As that one's knocked over to third, Parsons will get it on the hop and he will touch the bag. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Jose Vasquez. We remain scoreless here at Jack Couch. Stay with us. This is Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
What can you do with a rendezvous? When your business needs a meeting space on demand, SwiftSpace has the solution. Introducing the Rendezvous Meeting Booth, a comfy booth for 6 that assembles in an instant. Fold it, store it, or move it to another room. The Rendezvous assembles in 2 minutes with no tools. The Rendezvous Meeting Booth by SwiftSpace, designed with the future in mind.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius, Hern here in the broadcast booth in Kitchener. We're going to now take a look at the starting defensive alignment for the Barrie Baycats. As you see it on the screen there, you have Maki Broda, Ejo, and Phillips from left to right in the outfield. And, what do you make of this defense here, Julius, and just the way it is structured?
I find you have a lot of speed in the key areas. Kinesi Joe, obviously, you started every game this year in center field. Ricky Phillips, you can kind of move him around. You've seen a lot of time, both in left and right. Brandon Hernandez, he's new to the team, but he's shown a lot of promise, and he's a speedy guy at shortstop. Exactly the kind of fit you want there. All around, I would say this is one of the better defensive teams. They are third in the league in errors, but I would say in terms of where you want guys to play, it fits really well.
And the first pitch seen by Tyler Henriquez is going to go into the outfield. So a base hit for him, and circled around first. Thought he was going to go for second for a moment, but notice he had no time whatsoever to go there. So that'll be reduced to a single to lead things off here in the second for the Panthers. And again, much as I talked about before with getting contact early on in the count, seemed like the Baycats were doing that. The Panthers are doing that as well, as Cale Murray flies one out into left field, and Maki Broda will camp underneath it for the out. Going away here for Junior Ibarra, as again with the defensive alignment, of course, Jaco, Hernandez, Ando, and Rio making up the infield from left to right. Tyler Plumpton catching Juan Benitez this afternoon.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nolan Macaroda already busy out there in left field, already 3 putouts for him through the first 4 outs of the game for Barrie's defense.
They're making him earn it, that's for sure. When you have Juan Benitez on the hill here, it doesn't have a strikeout as of yet, as that ball's going to be thrown away for a new baseball here. This is a guy that usually welcomes a lot of that contact and allow the defense to kind of do their thing.
Absolutely. He's very much a guy that just, wants to pepper the plate. He places his pitches really well. Doesn't want to do too much.
That one's going to go over to the shortstop, and Hernandez will retire Ibarra on the 6-3. But A runner comes into scoring position.
Yeah, Henriquez was off on the pitch there, looking to take advantage of maybe a little bit of a slow delivery there from Benitez, but Hernandez didn't have a play at second, but easy enough to go on to first.
Yeah, it looked like Henriquez had a bit of a jump right off the swing of the bat from Pare there, so gets himself out of a double play in that respect, as that one's going to paint the inside edge on AJ Carosis, the designated hitter. Hasn't seen much time this year, has AJ Carosis. That's going to be a chopper down toward the first base side, and Ryan Rio will touch the bag, and that will do it. Quick bottom of the second here at Jack Couch. It remains scoreless between the Panthers and the Baycats. We'll be back in 60 seconds. You are watching Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube.
There's no run.
When you're looking for a baseball or softball cleat, the first thing you need to know is what sport do you play, softball or baseball? For softball, there are 3 kinds of cleats that are good for you. The turf cleat, the rubber cleat, or the TPU cleat, which is known as hard plastic. The turf cleat is made for hard surfaces, synthetic, and gives you the feel of a running shoe. The rubber cleat is a softer spike and is made for beginners to mid-level players. The TPU cleat is a harder spike, gives you better performance and more stability while running the bases. When we look at baseball cleats, the 3 same apply: the turf cleat, the rubber cleat, and the TPU cleat. For turf cleat, it is also available for coaches. Then we add the metal cleat. The metal cleat is used for bantam players and up, and elite players as well. Please verify with your local association and rulebook that the metal cleat is good for you. If you need more tips on baseball cleats or softball cleats, please come and see us at Source for Sports, because at Source for Sports, we know our stuff.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube as we get set for the top of the third. Panthers and Baycats, no score. Rick Phillips due up here for the Barrie Baycats.
Yeah, I think one thing for Phillips that he wants to kind of get a hold of this year is his play discipline's not been exactly where he wants to be. A lot of first pitch strikes he's taken this year have turned into some frustrating at bats. Or not, his strikeout numbers won't be alarming to you, but a lot of them looking.
Bobbling that there was Henriquez, and that will go over to the fence. And Phillips is thinking for 2. And I don't know why you don't throw back to first there, as you had Vasquez going back over there. Would have been a bang-bang play, if anything, but again, just trying to prevent the runner from getting over to second base, and just a little bit of a calamity there for the Panthers on defense.
Well, smart base running there for Phillips to not try too hard to get over to second base there. It wasn't too far to go there for Nick Parsons to get that ball at the fence. But quick turn there for Phillips. Realized he didn't have much time, right back to the bag.
Officially, that is going to be an error charged to the shortstop, Henriquez. Had the bobble and then absolutely mishandles the throw. This will bring up Tyler Plumpton. 4 for 7 against the Panthers this season. As that one's going to be knocked down the line, and that's just foul. A long foul ball. It went a long way, all the way to the fence.
Plumpton this year has been much better offensively than I think anybody would have been able to predict. And lately, over the last week or so, he's put some great contact on a few great pitches, has a couple extra base hits over the last few games that he's been able to be a part of. And right there, another good example, just couldn't straight that one out.
A guy that's very quietly putting together quite the season, hitting .327 on the year, as that one's going to be knocked through the gap and into right field. Circling around second was Phillips, but he's going to stay over there. So first two batters reach. Runners now on first and second.
Another great example there for Plumpton. Not doing too much with that ball, just poking it the other way, realizing that Parsons was playing a little bit further in, trying to hold Phillips on at first. Take advantage of that hole between him and Spencer Ross at second.
And now you see the outside infielders playing in right toward the edge of the grass in the infield. As Parsons and Plumpton exchanging pleasantries over there at first base. It seems like they're having a good time.
Yeah, no malicious content over there, that's for sure.
That one's going to be sent out of play. And you see Tyler Henriquez. He was playing a little bit more traditional depth there. It seemed like he was treading more toward left center field. But he's going to stay pretty much there at the end of the grass with the lefty hitter number 9, Kenisi Ejo, up to bat for his second time today. And that's going to go right across Broadway for strike 2.
Well, with Ejo up, Henriquez shading a little bit more towards center field, trying to keep Ricky Phillips honest there at second base. Phillips second in the IBL in stolen bases with 13.
Check over at the aforementioned Phillips, the 0-2. That one goes down and low for ball 1.
But Phillips been caught 5 times this year, so he's one to get the green light quite often.
Of course, Kenisi Ejo, quite familiar with the IBL in his 5th season, played a few seasons back in Burlington between 2016 and 2018. The 1-2, swing and a miss. They got him. One away for Brandon Hernandez.
I kind of alluded to the strikeout issues being an issue for Ricky Phillips, but more the swing and miss on the side of Kenisi Ejo. Just a lot of, his plate discipline's been there. He's been able to see some good pitches, but not been able to make contact with as many as he would have liked to. And that's saying something for a guy that's hitting .359 this year.
And when he's making contact, he's doing some damage.
Absolutely leading the league in doubles and triples.
That one's going to be put down the wrong way.
Not to mention he put up that 2-run home run on Thursday against Kitchener.
Yeah, 3 homers for the Baycats on Thursday as part of that 7-3 victory. 2 times these two teams have met, both final scores in Barrie, 7-3, June 20th and July 11th. A 5-game season series between these two teams. There's a swing and a miss by Hernandez for strike 2. And of course, you're seeing that with a few teams this year. Of course, now with the 9th team entered into the league this season in Chatham-Kent. Last year, what you have been seeing, it was everybody plays each other 6 times, 3 home, 3 away. Now you have to stagger it out a little bit with a 9th team.
Especially when you get teams, far away travel-wise as Barrie and Chatham-Kent. Barrie's already played all 2 of their games in Chatham already, and that was a day-night, kind of double header, Friday night and a Saturday afternoon.
I think you had to do that. I mean, how long is that drive?
It's not a fun one, I'll say that. That's for sure.
The 0-2 goes on the inside of the bat, fielded there by Ross, and not able to make the play there. So runners now on everywhere. Bases loaded here for Hayden Jaco.
Well, great sliding effort there from Ross. He was able to come up with it cleanly, but he slipped on that wet grass right at the shallow right field area. And that slip took him out of the play with that great speed for Brandon Hernandez going down the first base line.
The first signs of what we had in terms of weather earlier on. Of course, this was supposed to be a 2 o'clock first pitch. Started at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We had torrential downpours earlier on today. As that one's going to be sent high and deep, all the way back, and it is gone! Hayden Jaco with a grand salami. The Baycats take a 4-0 lead.
Fourth home run of the season for Hayden Jaco, and I think that was a no-doubter off the bat. And you can see the disappointment from Jose Vasquez on the mound, just slumped over, and right just like that, third inning, it's a 4-0 Baycats lead.
First grand slam of the season for the Barrie Baycats. They were hitting just 167 with the bases juiced this year, but that ball got juiced right over the fence, right near the scoreboard in left center field.
Yeah, Cale Murray kept going back on it, and it's just like that. He found the wall, and it was no shot.
Save that one for the highlight reel. Nolan Mackey-Broda, the left fielder, grounded out his last time up. Fouls that one off of Junior Ibarra. It's like he's going to have to take an extra moment here to take a breather.
Now it's going to be interesting to see how this Barrie offense, comes back from a grand slam, which sounds, funny to say, but you want to look at it this way: a home run is often seen as a rally killer because you want to keep the pitcher engaged, and as soon as a home run happens, nobody on the field really has to do anything. Gives the pitcher a little bit of time to rest. Whereas if you're getting double after double, the pitcher, constantly has to keep going to cover third base or something like that. So it always keeps them, moving around, not having any chance to take a breather.
Let's see how Vasquez can recover here on Mackey-Broda, who sends one very high, very deep into center field, and Jacqueline is able to track it down and make the catch.
Almost looked like Jacqueline didn't really have a beat on and off the bat. He went pretty far, about 10 steps, and had to sprint in to be able to make that catch. You can even see Jet Jarvis out there in right field sprint over to try and back him up, but nonetheless, it was Jacqueline able to make the catch.
Of course, Jacqueline and Jarvis very familiar with each other. They've been patrolling the outfield since 2021 here with the Panthers organization. Of course, those two and Andy Leader have been that 1-2-3 punch in the outfield for the last few seasons. Of course, Andy now patrolling right field in the Royal City. Got to see him last night. Looking pretty well. His first home run with the Royals last night. A big victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, it must have been exciting for him, in a new place, a new face, and being able to make a mark like that.
And he was struggling a little bit. There was about a 5-game stretch where he wasn't getting the hits. Again, not getting the start as everybody else did, having a delay for about a month and a half, having to get into the swing of things. Started off hot with the Royals, hits in his first 3 games. Swing and a miss there by Royce Ando for a strike. And then that's a slump buster right there. It's in the first inning. It's trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to really, start things off? How do I kind of get engaged here again? Put it over the fence.
He had kind of everything against him. A new place, a delay to his start of the season. And just, not playing well when he got those opportunities. But, a guy that's been a multiple-time IBL All-Star, you knew it was going to come for him. And it did last night in a great way for him.
Absolutely. Royce Ando fouls that last pitch off. Faces a 1-2 count. Ando struck out back in the second inning. Not typically a home run hitter by any means, but definitely he's got a good average and a good on-base percentage when he is cooking around.
Yeah, not typically a guy you'd see with a ton of power, but he's a guy that's able to put bat to ball when he gets his pitch, and he's able to, flex that power from gap to gap, but not a guy you're going to see the ball go over the fence for quite often.
Maybe in ballparks like this, perhaps, but that's going to go right off the end of the bat. It gets on the hop on Henriquez. He's unable to handle it, and Royce Ando will get on base.
A little bit of a broken bat, kind of knuckler over towards shortstop. Henriquez had to kind of bring that shoulder up to make some kind of effort on it and wasn't able to pick it up.
Now, the question is, are they going to call that an error or a single? Are they going to say that that was a hard enough hit ball for Henriquez not to handle? So they are going to give Ando the hit, so officially make him 1 for 2. Swing and a miss by Ryan Rio. Talk about a guy that's got some power. Ryan Rio right there.
Oh, absolutely. And he flexed it on Thursday and even kind of pimped that home run in the 8th inning. And he deservedly so. He's had a lot of struggles this year, hitting under the Mendoza line. And for a guy that was a first-team All-Star last year, set the Baycats single-season RBI record, that was a huge moment for him.
That one's going to go into the dirt outside for ball one.
But something for Rio to kind of get back into the groove with a little bit here. He needs to stop chasing pitches. He's seen a lot of pitches outside his sweet spot, if you want to say, in that strike zone over the plate, and he's been waving at a lot and missing.
That one's going to go right at the knees for a strike. And a guy that surprisingly only hitting 188 on the season. Usually as I look at the stats from previous years, of course, hit 359 a season ago, 304 in 2022. He's got that power when he gets going, as that one's going to be put into center field, a base hit for Ryan Rio. And again, those are the types of hits. They're not blasts over the fence, but they're enough to get that average up, and they're enough to kind of get that confidence up too.
Well, Ben, Davey, and I were talking about this on Thursday, and you can look at that home run on Thursday night and look at that as maybe a turning point in Ryan Rio's season, something to bring his confidence back up, and something to look at as this is where I'm making a difference in my plate appearances, and my discipline's a little bit different. Definitely see that, and right there, a base hit, great example.
Blake Williams, the batter now. The 9th batter here for the Baycats here in the 3rd, so officially batting around the order.
Do you consider batting around 9 or 10? Because I've seen that argument quite a bit.
It all depends. If they pick off a guy, Malik Williams still has to come back out in the next inning. So you know what? Let's make sure he's either retired or he completes the at-bat or walks, I guess you can say. That doesn't complete an at-bat, but at the very least as a result from it.
That's a great point. I haven't heard anybody bring that up, like of a mid plate appearance out.
Yeah, if Ryan Rio treads too far off of first base, he gets picked off. Malik comes back out.
Exactly. You don't hear that argument very often. Usually everyone's like, oh, it's 9 or it's 10.
Let's make it 9.5.
There you go.
Malik Williams facing a 1-1 count here. A couple extra looks at Ando. Holds off on the swing. That one goes under the knees for a ball. Was kind of an odds guy back growing up, but someone wise once told me, never tell me the odds.
I like that.
Here comes the 2-1. That one right across Broadway for a strike.
Yeah, a bit of a slow delivery there from Vasquez. Really taking his time, trying to throw off the timing of not only Williams at the plate, but the runners on first and second. Neither of them are really threats to steal, but definitely the quicker Ando in front of Rio at first base over there.
Of course, you don't really have a pitch clock to worry about, so you can take a little bit of that time, as that one's going to be sent out of play. Again, pace of play, another big topic in the IBL this season. We've talked about it on numerous occasions on this very broadcast. And, of course, a lot of new rules coming into effect. No pitch clock yet, although I think there's got to be a couple of extra things that would have to come in before you get that pitch clock. Obviously, you need an extra volunteer to come in and operate that clock.
Just much more resources.
Absolutely.
Right?
The 2-2, that one just misses the inside edge. And I think that's really the thing at the end of the day, Julius, is having the resources with all teams in the IBL in order to actually operate within the rules.
Exactly. Yes, there's probably a couple teams in the league that are able to facilitate that, but it has to be an entire league effort to be able to make it, the standard as we go throughout, maybe the next few years. We could see it maybe down the road, but it's definitely not something that is possible at this very moment.
I need some electronics too. Have it in behind home plate.
Absolutely.
Have it on the center field camera. Pretty much every team now has a center field camera now, so you can actually see the clock on the screen.
Well, usually I think in the major leagues they have one towards each dugout, and they have the one kind of above the batter's eye in center field. definitely one right behind the plate would be perfect.
That would be beautiful. Full count here on Malik Williams. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Third strikeout of the ball game for Jose Vasquez, and we are through the top of the third, but a big grand slam home run from Hayden Jaco makes it 4-0 Barrie. We'll be back after this. This is Kitchener Panthers on YouTube.
5 hit.
And he can lift anything. Anything at all. He's that strong.
Joe Schuster, will you stop it or you'll miss your train? Now help me find number 5.
Strong, but by day he's a mild-mannered reporter. Glasses, a secret identity.
Honestly, you Canadian kids.
He'd be in this cape.
A what?
A cape. Wearing these blue tights.
A hero in tights, really. Here it is.
Listen, Lois, this guy is faster than anything, I swear.
If you're not fast, you're gonna miss your train.
That's it. A bullet. A bullet. He's faster. No, he's faster than a speeding bullet.
Come on, get on it. No one's gonna read a comic strip about a strong man in tights, Joe. It'll never fly.
Fly, no. But he can leap over tall buildings. Oh, wow, yeah.
See what your cousin Frank says in Toronto.
Wait, Lois. I've got something for you. Here, take it. It's a gift. You never know. It might be worth something someday. Is he great or what? Bye-bye, Lois.
Welcome back to Jack Couch Park. It's the bottom of the third inning between the Baycats and Panthers. Baycats lead this one 4-0, but let's look at some out-of-town scores. This one is final between Chatham-Kent and Welland. The Barnstormers taking that one at Fergie Jenkins Field by a score of 11-5. Back-to-back losses on back-to-back days for the Welland Jackfish. Meanwhile, at Christie Pitts, it's a 4-3 Maple Leafs lead heading into the bottom of the fourth over there. And the game between the Majors and the Cardinals in Hamilton was rained out earlier this afternoon. So just the 3 ball games in the IBL slate today. Meanwhile, Mark Barrie?
How about that? Welland on a losing skid. Who had that on their bingo card?
Considering they won 10-11 straight earlier this year, that is something that might be towards the All-Star break. That's not a good sign for the defending IBL champions.
Absolutely. And, for the Barrie Baycats at the same time, too, that loss, coupled with a possible victory here today, could also propel Barrie even closer to the Jackfish. They're 4 games back coming into today's slate of games. They could find themselves 3 games back at the end of the day.
Well, the thing for the Baycats this year, they haven't lost or won 3 straight games at all this season. So the consistency has been there, but it's been kind of back and forth. And I think to get this 3rd straight win today for Barrie would be a huge boost of confidence for them throughout the season, especially with last night's full team effort 6-5 win at the Pond.
Absolutely. Yeah, Rosado went in that one, going 5 strong innings, only gave up the 1 hit. What a game what a performance he has put on all season long, really.
He's been incredible, and that only blemish earlier this year was that starting Guelph. It was him and Jacob Cush at the time, the 2 leaders in ERA in the IBL. It was definitely a must-watch matchup heading in, and he kind of, I wouldn't say lit up, but it wasn't his usual stuff, but nonetheless, it was a great game.
That one's put up high and deep. Ejo will field that one just in front of the warning track. And that will retire Jet Jarvis.
Back to the top of the order, center fielder number 45, Blake Jack.
Yeah, Jacob Cush actually starting in the game against Toronto last night. He had a strong outing, goes 117 pitches, I think he went about 7 innings in that one. Yes, indeed, he goes 7. And really, for the most part, kept the Maple Leafs at bay. Only gave up a couple of hits. He had some quality pitching here in the IBL this season. I feel like that's been kind of a turning point here in 2024. And it changes from season to season, too. You have one season where you have so many of these quality hitters, and you're seeing a lot of these inflated scores. But especially this year, and maybe in the last month or so, I've been really noticing a lot less of those, those 12 to 14 fives. It's been a lot of pitching really taking over.
I was just about to bring that up because it seemed like maybe earlier on in the year you were getting a lot of blowout wins and double-digit scores, but lately it's been a lot of close games, 6-5 games, 4-3 games, 3-2 games, stuff like that has been really propelling the pitching throughout this league as maybe the hot commodity.
Absolutely. And even look at some of the games lately, particularly for Kitchener. Yes, you have that 14-4 victory against London on the starting of a double header last Sunday, but not only you got a 7-3 victory if you're the Barrie Baycats, but you were talking about it too, where that was the first multi-run victory in quite some time. A lot of close games for the Barrie Baycats lately.
Yeah, and even like I said, kind of alluded to a huge team effort win last night, 6-5 against the Welland Jackfish in Welland, mind you. And for that, not necessarily just standing wise being a huge win, but just the way it happened, and we can kind of go into that further along. But the way that they won that game might be a huge turning point for the season. Not necessarily that they needed one, but just something that you really want to pinpoint on as something that is a huge accomplishment in just one little short sample size.
They've come a long way from being called average from one of your particular pitchers.
It's funny, we were on the field talking this today, and Christian Lazar actually made that joke to Josh Matlow. They're talking about the All-Star game and a couple of different things, and he was like, well, you guys were so average last year, and it was just so funny to laugh that one off, and the irony of him now being on the Baycats is incredible.
So Blake Jacklin walks Spencer Ross now, the batter here for the Panthers. That one's taken on the inside edge for a strike. I got to see Lazar quite a few times, of course, with my work with the Sudbury Wolves organization in the OHL. Of course, he working for the Mississauga Steelheads during the baseball offseason.
Now Brampton,
that's right. Of course, Sudbury ended up eliminating Mississauga in the playoffs to facilitate that move to Brampton.
Yeah.
That was quite the night.
Great series, too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go on hockey talk here, but 5-game series, I believe, between Sudbury and Mississauga.
Yeah, get an overtime game in there in Missy. I'm gonna be scared of the Steelheads this year. That's for sure.
Absolutely, they got a lot of draft prospects for 2025.
Mm-hmm. Spencer Ross will foul that off. Not to mention the Barrie Colts.
Yeah,
I'd watch out for them.
Absolutely,
They'll be sneaky. Because Beaudoin just getting drafted. I think he's going to take a big step this year.
Yeah, I think Cole Aitchison is going to be Keishon Aitchison, pardon me, is going to be a huge part of that team next year. Definitely, it could be a first-round pick in 2025.
The delivery upstairs and into second base, and that is safe. Doesn't get a full handle on the ball, and sliding into second is Blake Jacklin.
Well, it looked like the throw there from Plumpton was in there in plenty of time, but Brandon Hernandez coming across the bag to try and make that play just couldn't come up with it cleanly, and Jacklin with a kind of a clutch steal here with one out.
I've been seeing that a lot with Blake Jacklin this season since coming back. Really has that good jump, the ability to really read off the pitcher.
10th stolen base of the season for him. That's huge for the Panthers. Not only just getting a runner in scoring position, but you stay out of the double play with one out.
Panthers coming into today, 29 for 37 on stolen bases, as that one's knocked down the line foul. Not a bad average. Again, that's all just reading off the pitcher and just having such speedsters on the base path.
Yeah, it's very often, and players will say this: you're not stealing on the catcher necessarily. You're stealing on the pitcher. You're timing his delivery up. And the pitcher tries to combat that with timing the runner up as well.
It's fielded there by Ando over to first and in time, 2 away, but that'll advance Jacklin over to third base.
Productive at bat there for Spencer Ross, going on the right side with that ground ball, and it didn't even look like Ando really looked over at Jacklin going to second base, but don't believe that he would have had a play at third anyway.
All right, Raul Gonzalez, 0 for 1 here today. Try to close off try to bring the lead to under 4. Of course, a 4-0 score line. Hayden Jacob with a grand slam. The difference in this ball game thus far. The 1-0. That one's going to be fielded there by Hernandez. Over to first. And in time. So they strand a runner. It remains 4-0 Barrie as we head to the 4th. Stay with us. This is Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube.
Viens, Abby. Inzedi.
Téléphone.
Yeah, but you told me that. Okay. I wanted the day off. I knew they wouldn't leave me alone. But I couldn't let the guys down.
That night in 1944, Montreal beat Detroit 9-1. Maurice Rocket Richard scored 8 points, 5 goals, 3 assists. A legend was born.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius Hern here in the broadcast booth at Jack Couch Park. Jose Vasquez back on to start the fourth inning here against the Baycats, who have taken a 4-0 lead. Last inning, it was a grand slam over the left field fence by Hayden Jaco.
Yeah, fourth home run of the season for Jaco, and it's, in contrast to last season, the way his season started, he was still recovering from a bit of a knee injury he had the year prior, but this year he's gotten off to maybe one of the hottest starts he's ever had in his career. He had been leading the IBL in batting average and on-base percentage at various points in this season. So that being his fourth home run of the season just puts kind of an exclamation mark on his first half for sure.
Well, he makes a statement pre-All-Star break, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
That one goes across for a strike. Would he do a home run derby?
I'm not sure.
I don't think they've actually released the listings for the home run derby as of yet, but I'd be curious if he would partake.
Well, I'm curious about Noah Macabrota because he's the last man in potentially for the North team if the fans can vote him in. But when he was playing in the Western League in 2022, he won a home run derby with the Western Canadian Baseball League. So definitely he could be an option there, but he is still recovering from a bit of a oblique issue he's had over the last couple of weeks. So I'm not sure if he'd even be healthy enough to do it.
That one just misses on the outside. Here's what I would do. You have 9 teams. You have 1 per team. You have everybody go in a first round.
Yeah.
Everybody competes against everybody. Top 4 advances into a semifinal.
I like that for sure.
If it was an 8-team league, pretty easy. You go, back-to-back brackets, in a quarterfinal situation, 1-on-1 type of thing. But with the 9th team added, I think you just let all 9 guys go, and whoever gets in the top 4 ends up advancing into a semifinal situation.
I like that for sure. Do we know what the format of the home run derby is? It's going to be outs?
I am actually not too sure.
I would like to see outs.
I would assume it would be the same as the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, but...
Well, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game or home run derby is timed now.
Yes.
But I would like to see outs maybe kind of draw it out a little bit more, make it kind of old school.
Go back to the old 10-out situation.
Yes, exactly.
Phillips will put that one into center field, a base hit to lead things off here for the Baycats.
Just like that, Ricky Phillips extending his hit streak to 9 games now.
44, Tyler Plumpton.
I think he's had a bit more success. He was starting the year, around the 3 spot in the order, but since he's been brought down to 7, 8, 9, that bottom third, he's really shown some success this year for sure.
So Vasquez is up to 58 pitches. And that's a guy that you do need in the bottom of your lineup, a guy like Ricky Phillips that, he's not going to put up, the numbers that's going to have him down, as Plumpton is going to bunt that one into the infield and over to first in time. That'll advance the runner.
Couldn't ask for a better place bunt there from Plumpton. Another high pitch. We saw Hayden Jaco earlier in the game try and lay one down up in the zone. But that one, Plumpton was able to get perfect amount of bat on it and drop it kind of right in between a third baseman over that's Raul Gonzalez and then Jose Vasquez. And did exactly what he wanted to do, sacrifice himself to move Phillips over to second. And with Phillips' speed, base hit will easily score him.
Again, just to kind of go back with Ricky Phillips, a guy, you're not going to see him in the limelight like a guy like Hayden Jaco, a Kinesi Joe, guys that, gets talked so much about in the IBL this season, but character guys that will very quietly still put a lot of these streaks together. You need guys like that in order to have success at this level.
Absolutely, and he fits kind of that perfect 9 spot man for me, a guy that has a bunch of speed, he can get on base and turn the lineup over to give you someone with runners in scoring position for your big dogs. And especially him being an import player, he's from just outside Columbus. To be able to have him perform at a high level is even more important for the makeup of the Baycats lineup.
Trying to frame that one up was Junior Ibarra. Not going to get the call, though. Counts even at 1-1.
Josh Mallow's given Ricky Phillips every opportunity so far this year, and he's a guy you really don't want to let go of with all the skill set that he has.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to have guys that can kind of do it all. The 1-1 from Vasquez. That one's going to be put over the head of Ross and into center field. Circling around third, Roy Sando will, or rather Ricky Phillips will come in safely, make it 5-0 Barrie.
Shortstop.
And that play looked much closer than it might have been just with the speed of Phillips and a great throw there from Jet Jarvis making that play rather close, but Phillips in there easily with a feet first slide, and I think that 5-0 Baycats. Another RBI from Kenise Ejo.
Kenise Ejo doing the dirty work here for the Barrie Baycats, as Rick Boone is going to come out and have a conversation with his pitcher. Of course, the Panthers will host Brantford on Tuesday, so they have about a 48-hour break. Curious to see how the bullpen is used here this afternoon. Again, you had games on Thursday and Friday this week. You use a little bit of the pen in both of those games, although Martinez and De Los Santos both going 7 innings in those 2 games. So you get a little bit of an extended run for your starters in that one. Gives your bullpen a little bit of a rest, but what does he do with the bullpen here today, as that one's going to be put into center field. Back-to-back singles here for the Baycats. Continue to cook with one away.
Back-to-back 3-hit games for Brandon Hernandez, really making his impression, a good impression at that, early on in his Barrie Baycats tenure.
Of course, making his debut just on July 7th, just a week ago in Guelph. It's an 8-4 defeat in that one, but looks strong, particularly against the Jackfish. 3 for 5 on Saturday.
Yeah, and that one hit that he had, his first IBL hit in Guelph, was on his first at-bat. Just an easy, line drive into right field.
Now runners on here for Hayden Jaco. Throw over to second, and not in time as Kenise Ejo gets back in time.
Not very often, at least from Ejo's perspective. He doesn't see that kickoff attempt from second base very often. He almost certainly gets it every time he's on first base. But really pushing his limits and a dancing lead at second.
And that's going to be fouled off of Ibarra. He has been taking a beating back there as of late.
Well, that's what you want from your catcher, a lot of toughness. Usually the most important guy on your team really sets the tone of the team's character.
Yeah, he's seen a lot of time in behind home plate, particularly this season. Last season, got the lion's share of starts at catcher as well, but ended up representing Team Cuba at an international tournament throughout about a 2-week span in the month of June or July. Ended up coming back as, such a completely different hitter. Particularly on offense, you saw such a difference from him. Still provides that stout defense in behind home plate. Ejo's going to go. That one's going to be sent up high. Deep to left center, but it's playable here for Jacklin. He'll make the catch, and Ejo's got to retreat back over to second base.
That ball looked like it was just going to be an easy infield pop-up like Jaco had in the first inning, but it kept carrying, and just about 10 feet in front of the warning track, Jacklin made that catch. Hayden Jaco's been putting great contact on the ball this game.
Yes, he has. And the way I'm seeing the flag out in dead center right now, it's kind of waving from right to left, kind of moving towards away from the ballpark. Very hitter-friendly kind of breeze here this afternoon. Not a strong wind by any means, but you get that ball up there in the stratosphere, it might carry a few extra feet. That one's going to go outside for ball one here on Nolan Mackey-Broda.
Mackey-Broda still looking for his first hit. Another guy that's been rather impressive this year, hitting .313 for the Baycats in his first IBL season. Like I mentioned earlier, had some experience in the Western Canadian Baseball League because that's his Saskatchewan roots. That's where he's from.
Farm boy?
Yeah, definitely. He's the country music guy on the bus.
Okay. Is he more new country, old country?
Bit of both.
Okay.
It's funny because Thursday against Kitchener was our country night, and the team usually country night seems to be the favorite for the players in terms of the theme nights we have at Vintage Throne Stadium, and they always have a big get up during their batting practice, cowboy boots and hats, and jean jacket vest, the whole 9 yards. And it's pretty incredible to see, and he's definitely one of those guys.
I might have to talk to the organization here. We need a country night here at Jack Coach. A couple of people here in the booth here shaking their heads, but hey, country music, it's popular.
I would dig it.
Yep.
I was loving hearing the between the innings country music and the playlist. I loved it.
Had a little bit of Shabuzi playing. That one's going to be set up high. Deep to center, all the way back. This is going to carry and go. 3-run home run for Nolan Mackey-Broda. Make it 8-0 Barrie. Second home run of the ball game for the Baycats. A grand slam and now a 3-run dinger.
Will make that Noah Mackey-Broda's 4th home run of the season as well. That's we were just talking about that. Just kept carrying out to left center field, and the way he hit that ball so high, and just no shot for either Blake Jacqueline or Cale Murray.
And that's going to do it here for Jose Vasquez. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll introduce the new pitcher into the ball game here for the Kitchener Panthers. Stay with us.
Hey, Mr. Ricky.
Boys, I want you to meet someone. Outstanding athlete, the former 2nd Lieutenant in the United States Army, and your new second baseman, Jackie Robinson.
Hi, gentlemen.
Et maintenant va tomber pour you. And now batting for the Royals, le deuxième but, the second baseman, Jackie Robinson. Quatrième manche, 4th inning.
Record numbers of cheering Montrealers helped Jackie Robinson break baseball's color bar that year. He never forgot the city that launched his journey to baseball's Hall of Fame.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube. Adam Robertson, now the pitcher here for the Kitchener Panthers, coming on in relief of Jose Vasquez. Not the best outing for Mr. Vasquez here this afternoon. Got lit up for a couple of home runs, but it's with guys on base that really did the damage here against the Kitchener Panthers.
Yeah, so it looks like 7 of those 8 runs are going to be earned for Vasquez, but he's going to turn it over to Adam Robertson, who brings up a pretty full pitch mix from the bullpen. 4-seam kind of cut fastball there, a little bit of a changeup, and a curveball he uses quite often, and then a slider that he might pepper in a little bit.
First pitch seen over to the shortstop and into first base, and they will retire the side just like that. Royce Ando retired on the 6-3. We'll be back after this. Stay with us. This is Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube.
Our grandfather started this business in 1925, immigrant who came to Canada with nothing, building up his first store. My father took over the business in 1970. After he retired, my brother and I expanded it to additional markets.
We have memories of being kids playing in the Teppermans of 1975 and 1976. We are so much more than that today, and we are still fundamentally exactly the same thing. This is more than just retail. At Teppermans, our values are a commitment to people, our team, our customers, commitment to environmental sustainability.
But the heart of our business is family. The furniture in your home really does form and define your experiences and your memories.
The things we sell makes a house a home. Those are the moments that bring people together.
It's about honoring the old school values of Nate Tepperman and Bill Tepperman, and really looking to inspiring the future generations of our customers.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius Hern here in the broadcast booth in Kitchener. 8-0 Barrie is the score. Juan Benitez comes out here for the Barrie Baycats. And a very popular day for international sports. Of course, you got the Copa Americas tonight. Argentina and Colombia set to do battle for that championship. Spain just defeating England 2-1 to win the European Championship. Spain's been on kind of a run there, Julius.
Well, we were talking about this during the break. Not only did Spain win the Euro today, but Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz won the Gentlemen's Singles Championship at Wimbledon today. And then Sergio Garcia, if you look to the world of golf, won in Spain the individual championship in Andalusia on the Live Golf League Tour. So, incredible day sporting-wise for Spain.
Spaniards rejoice. Baycats rejoice. Bottom of the fourth upcoming here. A big lead here for the Panthers to try to come back in here.
Yeah, Juan Benitez has kind of been cruising through his first 3 innings of work. Only giving up a couple hits and a walk, but other than that, been able to strand the base runners he's put on.
First pitch seen there by Nick Parsons goes on the outside edge for a strike. And that'll just miss. Trying to look for that similar location that time. Just missing on the outside that time, though.
We're talking earlier about the pace of play, the pitch clock possibly coming into the league shortly.
Ooh, how about that one? That one's cranked, and that's going to go. Nick Parsons gets a home run. The goose egg is broken. Nick Parsons. His hitting streak continues. 14 straight games.
And what better way for it to continue than a line drive home run right over that left field wall and out of the reach of Nolan Macabroda. Talk about dangerous hitters in this league. You got to put Nick Parsons on that list, and he's another guy that could be the last man in at the All-Star game this weekend. Definitely deserving of a vote from these Panthers fans, that's for sure.
If he gets voted in, I think that's going to leave a conversation of, if we were to go with my idea with the home run derby, do you go Gonzalez or do you go Parsons?
It's definitely going to be a debate as we head into Saturday at the Pond, that's for sure.
So for Parsons, that is actually his 7th home run of the season, as that's going to be lined in the infield. Stays fair, and over to first in time, Henriquez reaches safely. An infield hit for Mr. Henriquez. So I should mention Parsons, his 7th home run of the campaign, overtakes Gonzalez, breaks the tie for the team lead in home runs.
Yeah, so I guess if you're looking at that, definitely Nick Parsons could be that first candidate you look at from the Kitchener Panthers this upcoming weekend. But first, it's all about whether or not he gets in.
That's right. Get your votes now at theibl.ca/final votes. Get Nick Parsons into the All-Star Showdown. Sliding in, and he is out. Tyler Henriquez gets caught stealing.
Just a perfect throw from Tyler Plumpton. He's been incredible from behind the plate throwing runners out. But even that, Brandon Hernandez coming over and making that swipe tag, looking so nonchalant, like it was nothing for him.
And there's that baseball fundamental, right? You have kind of that 12-6, just the way he's able to drop that glove immediately once he gets, the glove on the ball there. Very, very quick.
Makes it look so easy. And from a guy with pro experience, that's exactly what you expect.
3-0 pitch seen by Cale Murray. Goes across Broadway for strike one. You a country guy?
I am a country guy.
Okay, cool. That's going to go across for a strike, and the fans not liking that one too much. Starting again on home plate umpire Jamie Killingsworth. And that one's going to be put up high and out of play. Of course, the big difference in this ball game, 8-1 lead, a pair of home runs, both of them with runners on base. Bases loaded home run, so a grand slam for Hayden Jaco, and a 3-run blast from Nolan Mackey-Broda. One thing that we were talking about before the game there, Julius, 3-2 count, swing and a miss for strike number 3. Cale Murray's retired. As you look at the home runs that have been given up by the Kitchener Panthers, last in the IBL, 38 home runs against. Coming into today, now make that 40. 24, now 26 of those home runs have been given up with runners on base.
Yeah, it's just the pitching has to know, when to kind of come through and give that little bit of extra effort, mix up your pitch sequencing that extra bit more. Because, as you see guys further down the lineup, that's where, you start to get more familiar with your pitchers, and you can't really use everything you used earlier in the game.
And again, of those 24, 15 of them runners in scoring positions. So you get a few of them with runners just on first. Good fielding there by Benitez. Over to first in time. That'll retire Ibarra. We're going to take a break. We'll resume the conversation after this. Don't go anywhere. This is Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube. Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube. 8-1 Barrie. As we move it over to the top half of the fifth, one of a number of games in the IBL, Julius.
Yeah, this one of 3 would have been 4 if not for the cancellation at Hamilton between the Majors and Cardinals earlier this afternoon. But an 11-5 win for the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers over the Welland Jackfish. That one definitely maybe the biggest result to note so far today. That's a big win for Chatham. Meanwhile, this one is 8-1, and over in Toronto at Christie Pitts, it is 6-3 for the Maple Leafs heading into the top of the 7th.
Battle of the basement dwellers in the IBL, Brantford and Toronto. Full game apart between those two teams. Kitchener is 2 games up on Brantford for 7th place in the IBL. That's going to be a battle.
Number 27.
It's going to be interesting to see throughout the end of this regular season because, of course, you got that 9 spot in the IBL who will not make the playoffs this year.
Exactly, but I think depending on if this losing streak might turn into a trend for the Welland Jackfish sitting at the top of the standings, I think that this, basement battle, if you want to call it that, might be the biggest storyline in the IBL as we head past the All-Star break.
Although, if you get some more losses, if you're the Welland Jackfish, you could have that battle at the top of the standings. Ryan Rio chops at that one, fielded by Robertson. He'll get it over to first and in time. Because you'll have that pennant battle, perhaps. Barrie and London, both just 4 games back of Welland coming into today. Guelph in 4th, 6.5 games back as well. I think Guelph, they tend to get stronger as the season progresses. But I think Barrie and London, they might be in a very good conversation for a pennant this season as well.
Absolutely.
They get on a run.
They've only played each other 3 times. I think London leads that season series 2-1. But all 3 of those ball games have been extremely close and exciting to watch.
Malik Williams, the batter, 0 for 2 this afternoon. Of course, a number of games from now into the All-Star break. Swing and a miss by Williams for a strike. You got that rare Tuesday game if you're the Kitchener Panthers at home. You never see a Tuesday game here at Jack Couch unless it's a makeup for a rain delay. But a regularly scheduled game on Tuesday against Brantford, and then hosting Toronto on Thursday before the All-Star break. Barrie, meantime, in Toronto on Wednesday, hosting Guelph on Thursday. And then you got to face the Jackfish as part of that 4-game homestand the day after the All-Star break. Swing, and that one goes off the mask of Ibera.
Yeah, it's really going to be a quick turnaround for Barrie and Welland per se, because they're hosting the All-Star game, but they're right back in Barrie for the first time this season the day after. So a couple important games on back-to-back nights for the Baycats heading into the All-Star break. A little bit of a break for some of the players that aren't going, but Barrie has 7 representatives this year.
I think Welland's at around 8.
9, I believe.
9, yes. Hey, could be 10. You never know.
Exactly.
You got that final vote in. You have, of course, the Kitchener Panthers. Of course, they will be in London the day after the All-Star break. 3-2, queued up by Williams, fielded there by Ross, over to first, and in time, they'll retire Williams on the 4-3.
I think if you look at the starters list for the All-Star game, I was really surprised, or even maybe not surprised, to see Seth Strong not starting at first base in the All-Star game for the South team. But understandable when you look at Robert Mullen. He's had a great year, and he's also playing for the Jackfish, who are hosting, and more fans. You're going to want to see that hometown guy in the starting lineup. But Seth Strong, I just want to reiterate, that guy is having an incredible year.
His 10th home run came in this ballpark. Had a couple of homers yesterday. Had a bit of a lull for home runs for a few games. You were wondering, okay, where's the power, Seth? But ends up coming back El Fuego yesterday. A couple of big home runs as the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers ended up sweeping their doubleheader with the Hamilton Cardinals.
Yeah, well, I remember when Chatham-Kent played Barrie last weekend when Juan Benitez had his complete game. And looking at Seth Strong as being a huge storyline coming into that game, Triple Crown watch, definitely could be something to look out for this year. And he actually went 0 for 5 in that game. Very uncharacteristic of him looking at his previous games earlier this year.
Hasn't been a Triple Crown winner in the IBL since Jordan Castaldo did it. That one's going to be put into the gap by Phillips. Into right field it goes for a base hit. So Phillips has a pair of singles on the day.
Yeah, Castaldo did that 2019 with the Baycats.
Yep.
6th straight championship year, and it seemed like after that year and the pandemic happened, that seemed to be a turning point for the franchise. New management, a lot of guys retired. We actually had 4 guys get their number retired earlier a couple weeks ago, which is a really, really cool ceremony to be a part of, and got to talk to all 4 honored members during the game. It's really cool.
Yeah, the Baycats do it right. I enjoyed that. I got to watch that on the screen, and it's something that all teams should be doing, is making sure that they are honoring the past. There's such a lively past with all of the teams in the IBL. Obviously, over 100 years of history. Have it here at the ballpark here at Jack Couch. All the banners of all the previous players that get honored. Of course, most recently, last season, it was Tanner Nivens that got honored by the Kitchener Panthers, a key part of that late 2010s run by the Panthers going to the IBL finals, of course, of those 6 championships won by Barrie. I believe 4 times the Panthers played them in the final. 3-0 count here on Tyler Plumpton. That one goes across Broadway for strike 1.
Yeah, I remember talking to Josh Matlow about it, in the days leading up to it. He said, coming into the 25th year of the Baycats next year, he found it really important for us to, start honoring, the tradition of the team and guys that maybe that's not necessarily looked over, but guys that hadn't got their due yet. And I think that was a great time to do it and have all 4 of those guys, them meaning so much to the Barrie Baycats organization. Definitely deserving guys.
Speaking of guys that'll end up getting honored, you talked about Jordan Castaldo, of course, still active, coming back for another season here with the Maple Leafs in Toronto. But once he hangs them up, I think he's going to be another one that's on the list that gets honored by the Baycats one day.
Absolutely. And it's not that he didn't want to stop playing in Barrie. It's just more of he wanted to be closer to home as he finished out his IBL career, being from Scarborough, I believe, and playing closer to home in Toronto. But he was a huge part of that championship run from 14 to 19 for Barrie.
Can you see Joe the batter here? He is 2 for 3 on the day. Singled and scored in the fourth. The 0-1 goes off the end of the bat. Slow roller in the infield over to first, and does he leg it out? No! Jacob Gavallo makes the call there at first base, and can you see Joe's retired? We are through to the bottom of the fifth. Coming up, stay with us. It's 8-1 Barrie.
Oh, when it comes time to muck a mammoth meal, just dial up Domino's to rally a rip up the road and drop off a pair of piping pies. Canada's top pie. Everything about these beauties is top shelf from Z to A, eh? Domino's. Just send it, bud.
It's a new season of baseball, and with that comes new merchandise in the Jack Couch Park merchandise tent and online store. Make sure to check out our huge selection of new wearables to cheer on your team. We have replica jerseys, jackets, pullovers, hats, scarves, and blankets for those chilly evening games. Our shops have all different sizes to choose from, and we will try our best to fit you with Panthers authorized gear. Make sure to check us out at our merchandise tent at the front gate when you enter into the park, or visit our shop online at KitchenerPanthers.com and click on Shop. We want our fans to wear our gear proud and loud and cheer on your Panthers.
Juan Benitez remains on the hill here for the Barrie Baycats as we head to the bottom half of the fifth inning. Welcome back inside Jack Couch Park. Quite the cushion for Juan Benitez. An 8-1 lead here for the Barrie Baycats. Again, Julius, it seems like this is going to be more of a blowout situation, perhaps, if the Panthers don't get the bats going and get them going in a hurry. But again, the Baycats, well, they've had their number this season.
Well, they've really been the Panthers. That is, have really been the victim of what Juan Benitez is kind of known for. Is getting that soft contact, easy ground balls and fly balls for his defense to take care of, and that's something I know that he prides himself on, mixing up his pitches well and getting the easy outs when he knows he can get them, and not try to do too much.
Well, he's going to face the 8-9-1 of the order here for Kitchener. AJ Karosis will lead things off, the designated hitter for Kitchener. Again, Karosis only appearing in his fourth game all season. Watches that one go more to the outside, but it paints the black for strike one. Hitting .375 on the year, but again, only 3 for 8. The sample size. Swing and a miss for strike two.
Yeah, like that last swing right there, another great example. He's put some good swings on the ball, but hasn't had the best luck. And again, a small sample size, you can't really ask for too much.
Swing and a miss for strike three, so that'll retire Karosis.
First strikeout of the game for Benitez, and when he picks up strikeouts, that's usually how it happens. Just guys waving and misses at pitches in and around the zone. Again, he's not a guy that's going to overwhelm you with velocity. More of a guy that's going to paint the zone, place his pitches really well, and mix them up.
Well, Jet Jarvis can be a dangerous hitter when he is going in the faux leadoff spot, if you will, the number 9 position. He tends to find his home there. Playing in right field today, as he usually does. Takes one for strike one, 1-1 count.
Well, he's looking to extend his hit streak to 9 games. He's had, only one multi-hit game in that stretch, but been one of the most consistent guys in this Panthers team.
And a lot of it's just been, put it into the outfield, get a base hit. You're not seeing a lot of doubles. Doesn't have a home run as part of this stretch either. Not really a home run hitter by any means. He's just got one career home run that came back in 2022.
Well, not only no home runs, only one double in this stretch too, and that was that only multi-hit game in this 8-game hit streak he's on.
That was in Toronto on July 3rd. That's a chopper down the first base line foul. Part of a big 10-2 victory for the Kitchener Panthers in that one. And that was a game where they got on the board early. They got on the board often. They had a big second inning, and that kind of propelled them toward the victory.
Exactly. And
that one's going to be knocked in front and caught by Canisijo on the run in center field. So mark that one as an F8.
Back to the top of the order, center fielder number 45, Blake Jacklin.
Well, here comes the man of East Tennessee State University, Blake Jacklin. Trying to bring that NCAA experience here to Kitchener. Of course, just finishing up his first year at East Tennessee State. Little livery. That one paints the outside edge for strike one.
I think it's kind of interesting to bring up college because first round of the MLB draft is this evening.
That's right. That one's well outside. Yeah, you had a few of them playing in the MLB Draft League more recently, including Blake Simpson of the Guelph Royals, who actually played for the Royals last night against Toronto. So it's a 1-2 count here. The fans starting to get on Jamie Killingsworth here again. A lively crowd here at Jack Couch. The 1-2 upstairs.
Give these fans credit. There aren't, the usual turnout here at Jack Couch Park with the 2-hour delay, but man, the ones that come out are always feisty.
The 2-2 is fouled off. Yeah, you talk about the MLB draft, if the future is going to be bright. I think about some of the more recent high-end draft picks, and you look no further than Paul Skeens with the Pittsburgh Pirates and what he's been able to do this season.
Just the fifth or sixth rookie to ever be the starting pitcher in the All-Star game. It's a huge accomplishment.
I mean, when you're throwing 100 on a regular basis.
Well, he's had double-digit strikeouts in 10 of his 11 starts to start his career. That's just an incredible number.
He's put together quite the year, in fact, too. I mean, doing his damage in college at the same time as that one's put up high. Deep into center, right in front of the warning track is Ejo, and he will make the catch right on the warning track. So that's a 1-2-3 inning for Juan Benitez. We are through 5 here at Jack Couch. It remains 8-1, Barrie.
It's a new season of baseball, and with that comes new merchandise in the Jack Couch Park merchandise tent and online store. Make sure to check out our huge selection of new wearables to cheer on your team. We have replica jerseys, jackets, pullovers, hats, scarves, and blankets for those chilly evening games. Our shops have all different sizes to choose from, and we will try our best to fit you with Panthers authorized gear. Make sure to check us out at our merchandise tent at the front gate when you enter into the park, or visit our shop online at KitchenerPanthers.com and click on Shop. We want our fans to wear our gear proud and loud and cheer on your Panthers.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius Hern here in the broadcast booth at Jack Couch Park. Adam Robertson still in the game here for the Kitchener Panthers, taking over for Jose Vasquez, who was roughed up for the Kitchener Panthers this afternoon. His final line on the day, Julius.
Yeah, 3 2/3 innings. He only had put up 3 strikeouts, giving up 11 hits and 8 runs. 7 of those are earned. Not the start you want to see for a Panthers team really trying to get back into that winning way after losing their 5-game winning streak Thursday in Barrie. A big win on Friday in Hamilton, but not the sign you want to start with Vasquez's line there to start this game down 8-1.
And again, it's just the home run ball that's been doing a lot of the damage here for the Panthers overall this season, really. I mean, they've given up 40 home runs, a number of them in this ballpark. Some teams have really just tattooed the ball out of this ballpark and have really inflated some score lines. Chopper there by Hernandez, fielded by Ross over to first in time, so they'll retire Hernandez on the 4-3.
We could also maybe blame a little bit of that on the ballpark. This is the smallest ballpark in the IBL, just 320 down the lines, 380 to center field. And as we've seen today, just the amount of carry that the wind can put on compared to some other ballparks is much more exponentially, in favor of the hitter.
The dimensions here is pretty basic here at Jack Couch. There isn't really any, particular edges in the corners, if you will. It's just a straight up oval out in the outfield. I think of a Hastings Stadium, for example, you do have those divots to worry about as well to keep that in the ballpark. 396 can still, in some places, be still in the ballpark.
Yeah, like in Barrie, I believe it's right around 330 down the lines and 405 to center field. So same kind of shape, but a bit deeper. You can see already a few home runs for Barrie today. They're taking advantage of smaller ballpark.
Hayden Jaco 1 for 3, but his one was a big one. A grand slam right into left center field. Facing a 1-2 count here against Robertson. Right down Broadway for strike 3, and Jaco goes down on strikes.
Well, and Jaco knew it too. He looked like he was sitting more fastball, and that one, yes, it was a fastball, but with Adam Robertson, that one does have a bit more cut on it, and Jaco just not a great take from him, and right away, as soon as he got the call from Jamie Killingsworth, he knew it was a K.
So this will bring up Nolan Mackey-Broda, another Baycat that's 1 for 3 and has a big one on the day, a 3-run home run back in the 4th. The 1-0 is going to miss just outside, 2-0.
Mackey-Broda's a patient hitter. He's not going to really try and reach for too much outside the zone.
And he's going to take that one. He'll trot over to first no, it didn't hit him. I thought it did.
No, it was right up around his head. He managed to get out of the way of it. Surprised that it didn't actually hit the bat. He was kind of bringing that bat with him as he kind of turned counterclockwise away from it, being in that left-hand batter's box.
Well, that's what I mean. I thought I heard something, a little bit of contact. Nonetheless, he will take the base here. That is dangerous pitch there. But nonetheless, Mackey-Broda, former signee of the Minnesota Twins back in 2022, will trot on over to first with the free 90.
Well, that one pitch there was so high and had that velocity from the lefty Robertson that it kind of one-hopped the warning track and hit the fence. That might be what you heard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you managed to get out of the way of it enough.
That one's sent over to Ross. He'll touch the bag over at second, and that will retire the side. So if you're scoring at home, Royce Ando will be given the fielder's choice, but Mackey-Broda is retired at second, and that will do it here for the top half of the 6th. That remains 8-1 Barrie.
What can you do with a rendezvous? When your business needs a meeting space on demand, SwiftSpace has the solution. Introducing the Rendezvous Meeting Booth, a comfy booth for 6 that assembles in an instant. Fold it, store it, or move it to another room. The Rendezvous assembles in 2 minutes with no tools. The Rendezvous Meeting Booth by SwiftSpace, designed with the future in mind.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. Bottom of the 6th upcoming here. Had the out-of-town scoreboard read out in the ballpark here during the commercial break, Julius, and got some fans of the Jackfish losing earlier on today.
Yeah, not only just the fans in the ballpark, but you can even tell just how happy to hear that the Baycats players were on the field and in the dugout. We all know like kind of the rivalry that developed last year between the two teams, Welland and Barrie, obviously being in the finals last year, and just kind of even throughout the year being close battles throughout the regular season. And yeah, you definitely tell that there's a little bit extra vindication, not only that Barrie beat them last night, but also a huge 6-run loss today against Chatham-Kent.
Them hearing that, do you kind of see a little bit of an extra kick in their step, knowing that, hey, Welland lost earlier today. We have an opportunity. Yes, we have an 8-1 lead already, but we really need to keep this going because we can climb closer here.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the mentality that Josh Matlow instills in his team. Like when you're up big, like 7 runs right now, you can't let up. You got to keep your foot on the gas, pedal to the metal. Make sure you get out of this game with the same result you're keeping throughout. And that's exactly what the Baycats are doing right now, up 8-1.
Well, consistency is key, and Juan Benitez has been consistently strong in this one. Takes ball 1 upstairs, does Spencer Ross. Knocks that one down the line. Fielded by Jaco. Over to first and in time. Looked like Rio may have came off the bag there for a second, but he got his foot down in time.
Third baseman number 8.
Definitely a close play there. Hey, Jaco having to make that throw all the way across the diamond and a little bit farther to the right of Ryan Rio, but looked like he was able to keep his foot on the bag just enough to complete the out.
So bring up Raul Gonzalez, 0 for 2 on the day. That one's upstairs for ball 1.
Talking about Welland and how, yes, Barrie beat them last night, but we haven't even talked about the way the Baycats beat them last night. Now, I mentioned, kind of alluding to a full team effort. They literally had nobody left on the bench when the game ended. They had to use Ryan Lacasse. He's a two-way player in college, but a relief pitcher for the Baycats this year. He got the final out at second base, throwing to Chris Lazar, another reliever who had pitched earlier in the game at first base. So after a few injuries, definitely a full team effort.
Hernandez will take this over to first and in time, 2 away. Of course, Barrie had a 6-2 lead in that one. There was a late Welland surge. And how about Sano closing it out there for the Baycats?
Absolutely, and it seems like the direction that he's going throughout the year, he might become more of a full-time closer. He's been incredible in these high leverage situations. All 3 of his relief outings this year have turned into saves. So he now has the team lead in that category. And we even saw it on Thursday against the Kitchener Panthers in Barrie. He picked up the save there as well. So, 2 saves in 3 nights for him is a huge accomplishment.
Nick Parsons now up to bat, the first baseman. Hit a home run his last time up in the 4th. This is a guy that has been very clutch for the Kitchener Panthers. Had a run a couple of weeks back where he had a home run in 3 straight outings, I believe 5 in about a 6-game span at the same time, too. That one's downstairs for ball 2.
It's crazy how when you're playing baseball, there's just some little pockets of time where you're seeing the ball better.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like that was, a perfect storm for Nick Parsons, just being able to, feel like the baseball was a beach ball in some of his at-bats.
That one's downstairs for a ball. And that was the thing that we were kind of waiting for with Nick Parsons. Of course, had a strong college season for himself. Ends up coming in, has those high expectations as well. Chopper by Parsons over to Hernandez and over to first in time. That'll be a 1-2-3 inning. Again, Parsons, with the way he was able to do in college, putting up the numbers that he did. It was a slow start, but he's really starting to come into his own.
Carrying it right back over from St. Francis into Kitchener.
That's right. We'll be back after this. 7th inning upcoming.
When you're looking for a baseball or softball cleat, the first thing you need to know is what sport do you play, softball or baseball? For softball, there are 3 kinds of cleats that are good for you. The turf cleat, the rubber cleat, or the TPU cleat, which is known as hard plastic. The turf cleat is made for hard surfaces, synthetic, and gives you the feel of a running shoe. The rubber cleat is a softer spike and is made for beginners to mid-level players. The TPU cleat is a harder spike, gives you better performance and more stability while running the bases. When we look at baseball cleats, the three same apply: the turf cleat, the rubber cleat, and the TPU cleat. For turf cleat, it is also available for coaches. Then we add the metal cleat. The metal cleat is used for bantam players and up, and elite players as well. Please verify with your local association and rulebook that the metal cleat is good for you. If you need more tips on baseball cleats or softball cleats, please come and see us at Source for Sports, because at Source for Sports, we know our stuff.
Ryan Rio, Malik Williams, Ricky Phillips due up here for the Barrie Baycats as we welcome you back inside Jack Couch Park. Top of the 7th here. The Baycats 8, the Panthers 1. Home runs, the story of the day. A grand slam and a 3-runner for the Baycats. A solo shot for the Kitchener Panthers. That's where we stand right now.
Yeah, and that's going to bring us into another relief option for the Kitchener Panthers as we head into the 7th inning. It's going to be Brett Reed. He's had a pretty good year, I would say. He's one of those guys that's really going to be mixing up. He's got 3 pitches. He's got a four-seam fastball, a changeup, and a curveball. At any given point on that bat, you can see any of those pitches because he used them right pretty much even with each other.
A guy that, can give you a couple of innings. We have seen in the past where he'll just go the 1, but sometimes he'll go 2. As Ryan Rio puts a charge into that one. All the way back and on to Ottawa Street. 9-1 Barrie. That was a no-doubter from Ryan Rio. Safe to say he's hitting all right.
Absolutely, and it just seemed like first pitch of the at-bat, first pitch of the inning, that one silenced the crowd here at Jack Couch Park. Ryan Rio back-to-back games against Kitchener with a home run and making sure that it's well known that he might be back.
Look out, folks. Ryan Rio. Surprised it didn't hit any houses on Ottawa Street there. Yeah, that was a long bomb. Here comes Malik Williams, who's 0 for 3 on the day. 9-1 Barrie, now the score, as they continue to pace the baseball. 8 of the 9 runs coming off the long bomb here this afternoon. As mentioned before, Hayden Jaco with a grand slam in the 3rd. Nolan Broda with a 3-run shot in the 4th. Couple that with an RBI single from Kinesijo in that inning. And just now, Ryan Rio putting one up on the board.
Well, it's easy there for Brett Reed, and he can just shake that one off right away for being the first pitch of the at-bat.
Oh, that one's going to go a long way, all the way back. This is playable, and right in front of the warning track is Blake Jacklin. He'll make the catch.
Well, for Brett Reed, his last outing, July 7th against London, 2/3 of an inning, only gave up 1 hit and a walk, but was able to get out of that outing cleanly. But those 3 before that, 3 earned runs each. Not sure if he's been one of the more often used relievers for Kitchener this year, but it just hasn't gone his way. And I think the first pitch against Ryan Rio may be indicative of that.
Another long contact there. Jet Jarvis will camp underneath it in right field. He'll make the catch. 2 away.
Catcher number 44, Tyler Plumpton.
But his ERA is really inflated. It's obviously it's 18 through 9 games, but that one outing, May 19th against Guelph, his first of the season, 9 earned runs in 2 innings there. That one just a heartbreaker for him to start the year, but you can tell that there's no going lower than that for him.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker for many Panthers fans in that one. 27 runs against. It was an onslaught by the Guelph Royals on May 19th. If you're a wrestling fan, I think if you say the name May 19th, it kind of invokes some sort of emotion, if you will. Someone find the big red machine. because the Guelph Royals were a big blue machine on that day. Old school wrestling fans from back in the late 2000s will know what I mean.
Yeah, you're not. I'm not much of the wrestling guy
Okay.
for me.
Okay. It was a storyline. Kane was coming out with a new movie. It's coming out on May 19th, and it was just a promotional thing. And anytime anybody said May 19th on screen, something just clicked.
Right.
And he just decimated his opponent. 2-2 here for Tyler Plumpton. 2 away. That one goes outside. 3-2. And of course, for Brett Reed, another guy that, started off his Panthers career as a starter. It started in 10 of 11 games in 2022, converted into a reliever, swing and a miss, and they're just going to tag Plumpton if they have a couple of words. Ibera is quite the pleasant man, that's for sure. We're heading into stretch time here at Jack Couch. It's 9-1 Barrie. We'll be back after this.
When you're looking for a baseball or softball cleat, the first thing you need to know is what sport do you play, softball or baseball? For softball, there are 3 kinds of cleats that are good for you. The turf cleat, the rubber cleat, or the TPU cleat, which is known as hard plastic. The turf cleat is made from hard surfaces, synthetic, and gives you the feel of a running shoe. The rubber cleat is a softer spike and is made for beginners to mid-level players. The TPU cleat is harder spike, gives better performance, and more stability while running the bases. When we look at baseball cleats, the 3 same apply: the turf cleat, the rubber cleat, and the TPU cleat. The turf cleat is
at Mucho Burrito, the average order takes less than 6 minutes. Or does it? Our salsa. Those pickled onions. And the chicken. All so you can taste the time without having to take the time. My carnitas are ready.
We know our stuff.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius Hern here in the broadcast booth. Juan Benitez remains in the ball game here for the Barrie Baycats. He is a cruising and has a big cushion, a 9-1 Barrie Baycats lead over the Kitchener Panthers. He's only given up 4 hits all game.
Well, he gave up 8 hits in his complete game start last time out against Chatham Kent, but this is going to be his 3rd straight outing, at least 6 innings of work for him. And it seemed like he was going to be used more of a kind of a flip-flop between the bullpen and the starting rotation earlier this year, but I think now he's really cemented himself back into that starting rotation, and you even bring Carlos Sano into that fold, now being more used as a closer as of late. Juan Benitez has surely been that guy for the Baycats.
He is a cooking here today. And again, you saw earlier on in the game, welcomed a lot of contact. The defense came up for him. A lot of fly-outs, a fly ball pitcher. Really looked like last inning, though. 3 straight grounders right to Hernandez.
Yeah, and he's really been efficient, like we mentioned, and kind of as we predicted. Just getting those easy outs, using his defense behind him, and then that seems to be the mark of great pitchers in this league.
That one goes right down the line off of Jaco, circling over to first. Thought he was going to circle to second, but Tyler Henriquez, steady as she goes. 3 singles for Tyler Henriquez on the day.
Number 7, Neil.
It's going to be a tough play either way for Jaco if he was even going to be able to come up with it. That was going to be probably the longest throw of the season for him from third base, going all the way across, and with the speed of Henriquez. No shot.
That one paints the inside edge for strike 1 on Cale Murray. Another guy who's a call-up from the juniors, from Stratford's juniors, as that one's going to be sent into left field. Right in front of the warning track, and Mackie Broda drops it. Unable to make the catch, and sliding into third is Tyler Henriquez. He gets in there safely.
It looked like at first Macabroda had a beat on it, but you can tell as he approached the warning track backing up, he kind of stuck his hands out as if to say, I can't see the ball, I've lost it in the sun. That definitely looked to be the case for Macabrota, just a few inches shy of coming up with that ball.
Could be something that helps the Panthers close the gap. Junior Ibarra, who is 0 for 2 today. Another guy that is known for some clutch hits. You go back to Friday in Hamilton, a 2-run single in the ninth put the Panthers in the lead for good in that one, as he will put that one into right field. It is caught, and circling around, going into second base, he's safe. Oh, Cale Murray was trotting in no man's land, but he came back in time.
Number 11, A.J. Carosis.
Definitely a little bit of maybe miscommunication or confusion on the Baycats infield. It kind of took a little bit for Juan Benitez to realize what was going on and go and cover behind the plate. Surprised that Tyler Henriquez didn't maybe capitalize on that, but Rick Phillips out there in right has got a great arm. Risky play there for Cale Murray off the bag a bit too far with a man in front of him.
I think he looked at him right in the eye, and it was kind of a deer in the headlights kind of look, saying, oh, I got to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
A.J. Carosis now in the batter's box. Swing, and he got a piece of it. Well, that is going to be strike one.
Carosis, a strikeout victim in the fifth. Benitez only has 2 Ks in this game, and talk about how good his performance was last week in his complete game outing. Only had 3 strikeouts there through 9 innings.
Hey, sometimes you don't need to go for double-digit strikeouts. If you're being efficient, you're being efficient.
Well, you don't even have to go for double-digit pitches. Innings 2 through 8, he had less than 10 pitches.
Ando will field this one over to first in time. 2 away, but Henriquez comes in to score to make it 9-2.
Right fielder number 23, Jeff Jarvis.
I gotta say, Jet Jarvis got that old school feeling to him. And one of the best names in baseball. Makes a contact on that one. Ando will field it right at the edge of the grass, and Rio will scoop it up, tag the bag, and throws it away. As we will head to the top of the 8th. It remains 9-2. Barrie will be back after this. Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. 9-2. The Barrie Baycats lead the Kitchener Panthers, and Danny Garcia will now come into the ball game here for the Kitchener Panthers.
This will be his 6th appearance as a Panther after coming over from the Guelph Royals mid-season. His last outing, he only gave up 1 hit over 2/3 of an inning and a walk. But the one before that, a 4-inning win against London in that doubleheader. Definitely being one of the more frequently used relievers for Bill Matish out of the bullpen since his arrival.
So Danny Garcia, he and Jorge De La Cruz Paez, the 2 pitchers that came in from that Andy Leader deal, the only 2 pitchers of record in that Game 1 victory, 14-4. Of course, Yadigan Martinez started that game before the rainout, and all they needed to do was use Garcia and De La Cruz to end up closing out the London Majors in Game 1 of that doubleheader.
Yeah, it almost seemed like the entire day was a bullpen day, you could say, right, for the Kitchener Panthers?
Absolutely. Getting Joe will start things off here for the Barrie Baycats. And I mean, you're absolutely right. It really did feel like a bullpen day for the most part. I mean, Cam Johnson coming on to start in that 6-2 victory, as that one's going to be popped up in the infield. And that's going to be caught there by Junior Ibarra, one away.
Well, it's also that you don't see doubleheaders too often. We've seen a couple other ones in the last week or so in the IBL, but you don't see doubleheaders all that often in the year because gates seem to be the money that they get from fans and ticket sales seem to be of extreme importance to these teams, right? So you don't see doubleheaders all that often. When they do happen, you often get those. It seems like every pitcher is being used during the whole day.
Yes, indeed. As Brandon Hernandez will take ball 1, much to the chagrin of some of the fans in behind home plate. Swing and a miss for strike 1. And, you're absolutely right. You even take a look back at a couple of years ago. Doubleheaders seemed to be the norm. There was a weekend here in Kitchener where they played the Baycats for a doubleheader, I believe, on a Saturday, and then played the Maple Leafs for a doubleheader on a Sunday. It was just a lot of games, and it's not necessarily all the gate, although that, again, is very important. But it can be taxing to play 4 games in 2 days at this level.
It's just that you don't see them scheduled anymore. I think they definitely come up only when there's like a inclement weather.
That one's set up high. All the way back, and over the fence it goes. Brandon Hernandez with a home run. Make it 4 dingers for the Barrie Baycats, and they have crossed into double figures. It's 10-2.
Well, a huge day for Brandon Hernandez at the plate. Make that 3 for 5 in his first IBL home run. And he gets the home run chain from Ryan Rio as he gets back to the dugout. First time of possibly many that he'll be wearing that throughout the rest of the season.
What an injection of offense Brandon Hernandez brings into that clubhouse for the Barrie Baycats.
Absolutely. A guy with professional experience, having been previously an undrafted free agent by the St. Louis Cardinals. I actually asked him about it a few days ago. He said when the Palm Beach Cardinals, their low A affiliate, released him, he was called into the manager's office, and he actually thought he was getting promoted that day.
Oh, no.
So, that's the hard truth about minor league baseball.
There's a swing and a miss for strike 3 by Hayden Jaco.
I mean, on any given day, you never really know where your career may be going. And that day, he actually even told me after that day, he didn't touch a weight. He didn't play, touch a baseball for the next 3 months. And it took him and his brother, who are actually in the Cardinals organization at the same time, to kind of get back into it together.
Well, and sometimes you need that moral support to really, get back into the swing of things. Because it's a tough industry. It's a tough business, and especially with what the pandemic did for the minor leagues. Absolutely decimating the minor leagues and really stunted a lot of development among players. The 1-0 is going to go across for strike 1.
And Hernandez is a perfect example of that because his first year in affiliated baseball was 2019. Mm-hmm. And he had his next year cut off with no minor league baseball during the pandemic. So he kind of came in cold into 2021.
Rocky Broda will pop that one up, but it'll go out of play. When you see a lot of guys in the IBL in general, that were drafted, were within some major league systems, but again, the pandemic just doing such a number on minor league baseball, that growth brings them down even to this level here in southwestern Ontario. And this is kind of a breeding ground here. You're playing against guys that are former major leaguers. You're playing against, guys that are playing basically 12 months of the year for the most part. A lot of guys that are playing Division I, NCAA, guys that are playing OUAs, U Sports Baseball. So this is kind of a breeding ground to allow you to kind of bounce back and get back up to where you once were. Here's the 3-2. Knocked down the line, foul.
And I think you could even lift that level of competition a bit higher once U Sports starts sanctioning baseball at a more national level. Because as of right now, when you look at OUA baseball, it's only being played at the club varsity level, which is great experience for these guys, but they're not seeing the same kind of competition as they might usually see if they go. It's not even comparable to a D2 or D3 level.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you see guys like, I'll point to Blake Jacklin as a prime example, bounced around a couple different universities over the last couple of years. Did a lot of advertising of himself, pumped him up quite a bit on social media, and just trying to get his game tape out there, as that one's going to go right past Mackie Broda. It hits him, and he will take a base. But that's a guy that really did a lot of that legwork, and I think a lot of guys can learn from that. Is you have to put that legwork out there if you want to continue to put your game up to the next level, not only by playing the game and playing it at such a level, but also showing the world and putting your game tape out there, advertising yourself, betting on yourself, if you will.
And that seems to be the kind of things that athletes have to do now. Not even just in baseball, but you see it all the time. Basketball and football, for the most part, hockey a little bit. Really putting yourself out there as much as possible, because you never know who's watching, and you even see it. I'm seeing this in the media industry. People trying to climb the ladder, get bigger jobs. You never know who's watching, so you got to be on your toes and put yourself out there as much as you can and as many places as you can.
Couldn't have said it better myself, partner, as that one's fouled off by Roy Sando. Singled back in the third, was struck out in the second. Here's the 2-1, another one fouled off, 2-2. Of course, the Kitchener Panthers, as mentioned before, coming off a 7-5 win against Hamilton, winners of 6 of their last 7 games, have a couple of home dates coming up. Get your tickets now at kitchenerpanthers.com/tickets. Brantford comes into town on Tuesday. Toronto comes into town on Thursday. The 2-2 fouled off. Of course, Barrie will be in Toronto on Wednesday night. So Toronto back-to-back there, facing the Baycats on a Wednesday and then the Panthers on a Thursday.
Well, and then the Baycats have a Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back this week as well, Toronto, and then Barrie will host the Royals for the first time this year, pardon me.
Yes, indeed. The 2-2 right across Broadway for strike 3. That will retire the side. To the bottom of the 8th we go here at Jack Couch. It remains 10-2 in favor of the Baycats. Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube. Mark Pare, Julius Hern here in the broadcast booth. Juan Benitez's day is through for the Barrie Baycats. He had a stellar outing, 7 innings strong, only struck out 2, but welcomed a lot of contact that resulted in outs. and a new pitcher comes in here for the Baycats.
Yeah, it's going to be Braden Pakala on in relief for Barrie, a Division II pitcher at West Virginia Tech during the college season. He comes into this ball game, his 6th appearance in the IBL, a 7.10 ERA that he holds to himself. Last couple outings, 2 earned runs at Guelph last Sunday, and that 8-4 loss. But other than that, 2 outings before that were clean with an inning and a third each.
First pitch he delivers goes in for strike one. Kind of a change of approach needed here for the Panthers, of course, going from a righty to a lefty here. That one paints the outside for strike number 2.
Well, you're also going to see a little bit more velocity from Pakala. He's not as crafty as you would say Benitez would be. This guy, very aggressive with his velocity.
Swing and a miss. 3 pitches, 3 strikes, and Blake Jacklin goes down. And very quick, too, in between pitches. Not afraid to, really quicken the pace, if you will.
I wanted to bring this up earlier because you also see it with Benitez a little bit. Even without the pitch clock, it seems like pitchers in the IBL this year are kind of quickening up their pace in between pitches, even without the pressure of being timed.
That was going to go across for strike 1. And I think that really appeals to, a lot of the pro ranks, knowing that, hey, the pitch clock is here at the higher levels. Where is your approach? Where is your timing here at this league? And, can they convert that timing to the next level?
Exactly. It's kind of like a practice how you play kind of mentality.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had some scouts that will watch certain games like this and they'll have their own pocket watch and they'll just time it themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And it sucks for the pitcher not to be able to see that. But it gives the crew that's working the game much more of an idea of how it could be implemented in the future.
2-1 count here on Spencer Ross. 1 for 3 on the day. And he'll put that one out of play. Look out in the parking lot.
I'm not sure if you've been to Vintage Throne Stadium in Barrie yet, but there's a brand new scoreboard out in right field.
I have been there, but I haven't seen the scoreboard yet. I'm very much looking forward to it.
It's incredible, but there's also a time marker up in the left-hand corner that the umpires have started to want to see how that works. And we've been timing out, the amount of time that's, been implemented this year between innings and pitching changes.
What I kind of want to see is maybe get a new scoreboard here in Kitchener and have that clock going out in left field. And out into left field goes that ball. Spencer Ross has a pair of singles on the day.
Great hit there from Spencer Ross. You can tell he really had to lean down and get low for that ball to make good contact and kind of hit in that sweet spot. Nice liner out to left field. Mentioned our new scoreboard in Barrie as well. And there's also a pitch count spot on the scoreboard as well.
Well, that one's going to go high and deep all the way back, and that is a no-doubter off the bat of Raul Gonzalez. A 2-run home run from the big Cuban shortstop. Make it 10-4 as Gonzalez puts up his 7th of the season.
One thing that hasn't been lacking for the Panthers, at least in this ball game, has been the long ball. Nick Parsons in the 4th inning, and now Raul Gonzalez getting back into form. That's a huge home run. Kind of making this ball game a little bit closer as we head into or keep going in this bottom of the 8th inning. Now 10-4.
Does that spark something here for the Panthers? As that one's sent into foul territory by Nick Parsons. The thing we were talking about earlier, Julius, was about, of course, Nick Parsons with his home run, taking the home run lead on his team for the 7th of the year. I think Raul Gonzalez saw that and said, hey, if this guy gets into the All-Star game, I need to start hitting dingers myself. That's so I can kind of cement my spot as the, premier home run hitter on this team.
Well, we were also talking about earlier between Nick Parsons and Raul Gonzalez, who's going to be potentially the home run derby participant from the Kitchener Panthers. Gonzalez coming back, making his case right there.
And that's going to go in for a strike right at the knees. The 2-2. That one's cued into left center. It's going to go into the gap. Right against the fence it goes. Parsons thinking two. And he will come in sliding safely. So Braden Pakala comes into the ball game, strikes out Blake Jacklin, but it's given up a single, a home run, and a double here, back to back to back.
Well, it just seems like the extra little bit of velocity from Pakala, even from the left side, has gone into the Kitchener Panthers' favor. All three of those last hits, the single from Roth, the home run from Gonzalez, and that double there from Parsons have all been kind of in the sweet spot of the bat. Hard line drives.
And that's going to be fouled off by Tyler Henriquez. Now, just looking back at that home run from Raul Gonzalez, it was a little bit lower in the zone, but it got right into the sweet spot where Gonzalez likes it. The 0-1 is going to be fouled off.
We know Gonzalez as, strong low ball hitter, and I'm not sure if Pakala even took that into consideration, knowing who he's facing. Mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, Gonzalez, right around this time last year, was looking like an MVP candidate with how well he was hitting, and he's come back into form throughout July already.
What a big stretch of games for Raul Gonzalez. Of course, he was the runner-up for the IBL MVP award a season ago. Of course, that ends up going to Tyler Duncan of Hamilton. Although, personally, I actually voted for Frank Garces. I do have a vote in the IBL MVP voting.
What brought you to vote for Frank?
I just felt like he had such a strong season. I mean, just the way he was able to control games whenever he was on the mound. I was torn, to be honest with you. I mean, you can't vote for your own team.
Right.
You just look like a homer, really, and I'm not really a homer by any means. So my decision kind of came down to actually Tyler Duncan or Frank Garces.
Interesting. Remember, I was talking about this with Josh Matlow before the game, and he was saying, kind of too bad we don't have, the Pitcher of the Year award anymore in the IBL.
I would have liked that.
Because now all you see is first team all IBL, and it's the best right-handed pitcher and the best left-handed pitcher.
Panthers still alive here, as Henriquez will send that one over to Hernandez. Over to first, and in time. Bang, bang play over at first, but Henriquez retired.
And this whole conversation came up because we're actually talking with Chris Lazar, and he brought it up, saying like it's too bad we don't have that anymore because he thinks in 2019 he would have won it.
He had a really good case for it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He had a heck of a 2019.
And you can't understate how good Frank Garces was the year before that. A 0.38 ERA and 7 starts and a 7-0 record. I mean,
I think what really appealed to me about Frank Garces was the lack of walks issue.
Of course.
Like that kind of just sticks off the page immediately. Just what he was able to do. And that was such a big part of the conversation about what he was able to do. I mean, 6 walks in the playoffs last year, 4 walks issued all regular season in 10 starts.
Just one of the most dialed-in seasons you'll ever see from Frank Garces. That in 2018, obviously, could be his best, too.
That was going to be fouled off by Cale Murray.
but it just seemed like every time Garces was on the mound, and it was every big game for the Baycats last year, it was him dominating. He only had the one loss, a 6-1 record in those 10 starts, including a couple complete games, one of them a shutout.
The DR Dynamo, as I am just going to coin now.
I think if he had a say, he would definitely get behind that.
Right. Put it on a t-shirt.
Yes.
We've already got a couple of t-shirts going in Guelph, so
that's awesome.
There's a Garten Mania t-shirt as a swing and a miss there for Cale Murray. I'll pick that more up after the break. We're heading to the top of the ninth here at Jack Couch. It's 10-4 Barrie. Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. David Bruinsma comes into the ball game here for the Kitchener Panthers. Fifth pitcher used here this afternoon by the home side. Jose Vasquez, Adam Robertson, Brett Reed, Danny Garcia, and now the big bearded beauty will come on. Big number 58 here for the Kitchener, 48 for the Kitchener Panthers.
Well, David Bruinsma is going to come in. This is his second time facing Barrie this season, but that first one was kind of in a flash, 2/3 of an inning, and one of them being a strikeout. That was June 20th in Barrie, a 7-3 loss for Kitchener. Comes in, he brings in a fastball, slider, changeup sequencing. Hasn't walked a batter yet this year. That's something that you want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, he has been stingy, to say the very least, in that department. Among the better pitchers coming out of the bullpen. That 3.85 ERA. Had it at 0 for a few games to start off the season.
Yeah, his career against Barrie outside of this year hasn't really been the most successful. A 333 batting average against, and 800 slugging against. That's 2 for 6 with a home run, but 2 strikeouts to go along with it.
Rio will send that one out of play. Rio working on his timing during the commercial break. As he saw Bruinsma delivering his warm-up pitches, you saw Rio immediately just gauged in, and I think that's just such the sign of a premier player in this league, a guy that's dialed in so much that despite the fact that it's a 10-4 game here in the ninth, a guy that's still just trying to make sure he's studying the pitcher, studying the game, studying his swings, studying what needs to be done to get the job done.
Absolutely. And Ryan Rio is definitely that kind of, want to say professional hitter, right? He's got all that experience being in the IBL for so long, being a Major League Baseball draft pick. He knows what it takes.
Chopper down the line. That's going to be foul. Good hop taken there by Raul Gonzalez. He's taken a couple of balls rolling down the side just with the bare hand. So a guy that's really astute down in the hot corner. Obviously, normally plays as the shortstop, but over at third base today.
Well, that was a picturesque jump throw, even if it was a foul ball.
The delivery outside. So Brad McQuinn is actually on deck here for the Barrie Baycats, so he'll take over for Malik Williams. That one's fouled off by Rio.
Yeah, I think that just might be for the sake that Brad McQuinn is coming back from some issues he's had with a hip flexor injury, getting him in for Malik Williams just in that DH spot, giving him an at-bat towards the end of a 10-4 ball game.
The 2-2 put into play, fielded by Gonzalez, over to first, and Parsons just blocks the base path. Looked like a linebacker after a snap.
Pitch hitter number 47.
Love to see those kind of moments between guys, and they all know it's all in good fun, right?
That's what you like to see, especially in a 10-4 game. You're losing, but you're still just trying to get a chuckle, having some fun out there.
Absolutely, and again, like all these guys they all know each other, right? They're all friendly with each other, and they all want each other to know that it's not personally if it's something like that. If you don't want to take it the wrong way. But you love to see those kind of fun little moments late in the game where it seems like it's kind of may not be out of hand. It's still 6 runs is not that bad, but still it looks like it's going to be a Barrie win just looking by how much game there is left.
Brad McQuinn will take one for ball 1.
McQuinn's been kind of streaky this year. He had one breakout game where he had 3 hits, and that was a game that he wasn't even supposed to be a starter in. He kind of was placed in the lineup in the last 10 minutes before a first pitch.
Well, that'll happen in a working man's league.
Exactly, right?
Guys don't make it. Well, need to fill the gap somewhere.
That's exactly what happened, and he would turn out to be the player of the game.
The 2-1, swing and a miss. Good job there by Bruinsma. Brought a little bit of heat upstairs. Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Swing and a miss again for strike 3. So a pair of heaters there from David Bruinsma will retire McQuinn. 2 away. So this will bring up Ricky Phillips, who has a pair of singles on the day.
We're going to see that a lot from Bruinsma in neutral counts, especially when it's 2-2 there. He's just going to bring the heat and try and place that where you're reaching for it just in that outside part of the zone, and McQuinn was victim to it.
That'll be strike 1 on Ricky Phillips.
Phillips had himself a great day, 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored.
Puts that one, dropping it in, and coming over to make the catch is Jet Jarvis on the run. He went a long way into right center, and he comes over to make the grab. Bottom of the 9th upcoming here from Jack Couch. It's 10-4 for the Baycats.
For the Baycats.
Hey, Mr. Ricky.
Boys, I want you to meet someone. Outstanding athlete, the former 2nd Lieutenant in the United States Army, and your new second baseman, Jackie Robinson.
Hi, gentlemen.
Et maintenant, va tomber pour you. And now batting for the Royals, le deuxième but, the second baseman, Jackie Robinson. Quatrième manche, 4th inning.
Record numbers of cheering Montrealers helped Jackie Robinson break baseball's color bar that year. He never forgot the city that launched his journey to baseball's Hall of Fame.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers baseball on YouTube. Braden Pakala remains in the ball game here for the Barrie Baycats. The Panthers looking to put their rally caps on. They are down by 6, and the bottom of the order due up. Pare, Carosis, and Jarvis, unless we see some substitutions.
Also, Brad McQuinn in to play second base, taking over for Roy Sando defensively.
Junior's got some work to do to start things off here for the Kitchener Panthers. Looking for some clutch hitting in a late game situation. And again, you alluded to it before, Julius. 6 runs is not impossible to overcome.
It's not. The Panthers have put up 6 runs in an inning before, even on that win streak they had 5 games. They've had some big innings during those 5 games, especially against London. That doubleheader, that was a huge offensive outburst for them, especially against a London team that's battling this Barrie team to climb the standings, especially with Jakovic having lost 2 straight.
Yeah, you go back to that 14-4 victory for the Kitchener Panthers. That was 6-run inning in the 8th in that game. As Pare is going to put one up high, deep to left center, and over the fence it goes. Junior Ibera leads things off here in the 9th with a dinger.
That one was lasered to the power alley in left center field and over the fence, a no-doubter for Ibarra. Funny, Braden Packle had not given up a home run in the IBL this year until today, and he's already given up 2.
So for Junior, hitting .273 on the campaign, that is home run number 2 on the year. If you recall, his only other home run on the season was a grand slam. So getting back in the home run column, and here comes A.J. Karosis to try and build off some of that momentum, but now already down to the count, 0-2.
Karosis looked like he had a tough time against Benitez. He's getting some good pitches to hit, but wasn't able to make contact.
Was well outside for a ball.
It's going to be even tougher here with the lefty Packle on the mound.
And again, he's one of those guys that were playing for the Junior Panthers for a number of seasons, building up to this level. Someone goes outside for a ball. And this is a guy that, again, doesn't get as many opportunities, but really needs to start showing when he's getting these opportunities to really take advantage of them.
Yeah, it's been a small sample size so far, and he was hitting over 300 coming into this game, but it was just 3 for 8. So far, 0 for 3 in this one.
Dealing with the full count here. 3-2, swing and a miss for strike 3. So Pakala will get Karosa swinging. This will bring up Jet Jarvis, who another guy who's been on such a streak as of late, but is 0 for 3 on the day.
Well, it's funny, until that Ibarra home run to lead off the inning, the entire bottom third of the order for Kitchener had been 0 for the game. 0 for 9 coming into this inning.
The delivery, swing and a miss for strike 1, and that's key too, because most winning teams in this league, they're getting contributions 1 through 9, but when you're getting your 7, 8, 9 hitters, they're your depth guys. You're not obviously counting on them for huge strings of offense like you do with the top of the order. But if you're going 0 for 7 through 9, it's not conducive to success whatsoever.
Well, I think that's a good reason why the Baycats have been so successful this year. When guys like Adam Ott and Ryan Rio had some rough starts to the season, to say the least, the bottom of the order has come through multiple occasions where we've seen the bottom third, fill the stat sheet compared to the top, 5 guys.
You compare that to what we saw with the Baycats just in this game alone. You look at what Ricky Phillips has done. You look at what Tyler Plumpton has done as well. Singles all across the board. They don't need to be homers. But you put the ball in play, it sets things up for the top of the table. The 2-2 swing, he didn't go all the way around, but it's going to be strike 3. So, pair of strikeouts for Braden Pakala. And here comes Nolan Misa, pinch hitting for Blake Jacklin.
Just to finish up, you mentioned how the Baycats looked today throughout the the box score. The only player to not reach base from the starting lineup was Malik Williams, who was 0 for 4 with a strikeout.
And that doesn't usually happen.
Exactly, right? But he's also another guy, like, not to make excuses for him, but like he's been battling a hamstring injury, and that's why he came back from the Frontier League. It's just kind of a rehab stint for him before he heads back.
The 1-0 is going to be fouled off.
But at the same time, he realizes that he's not guaranteed a spot back there, so he's trying to, do his best even while he's injured to maintain his numbers that he's had and has been so successful in the IBL over the last couple of years.
It's definitely a tough cookie to crack to get into the Frontier League. That is for sure. Not too many can get in from this league, although we have seen it in recent past. The 1-1, swing and a miss. Panthers down to their final strike. Pakala, see if he can close things down here. And that one goes outside. 2-2 count here on Misa. Opportunity to finish off this ball game if you're Braden Pakala. And that one goes and just misses on the inside corner. Put the count at 3-2.
Well, if he's able to finish this one off, this would be his first game finished of the year. He almost had one in Brantford a few weeks ago, but Brantford, the valiant comeback late in the 9th inning, then walking it off in the 10th. Braden Pakala was the victim of that comeback late by the Red Sox.
Misa stays alive there. Phone camera. Hit the dot. Okay, cool. Take it off the studio. A gutsy at bat here for Nolan Misa, trying to stay alive. 3-2 makes contact. Hernandez fields it. This could do it over to first and not in time. Misa gets on board. Panthers stay in it.
Great hustle there from Nolan Misa. Big man rolling down that first base line. And again, Brennan Hernandez making that fielding at short look so easy, just scooping it up. But Misa, speed was overwhelming there. He just beats it out on a bang-bang play.
And this will bring up the heart of the order here for the Kitchener Panthers. Spencer Ross, a pair of singles on the day. This could be rally time if you're the Kitchener Panthers, but you got to take it one at a time.
Spencer Ross here is a tough foe for Pakala, not only just matchup-wise lefty-righty, but Ross already 2 for 4 in this game with a run scored on that Gonzalez home run in the 8th.
Delivery right at the knees for strike number 1. If Ross reaches and we are still alive, that'll bring up Raul Gonzalez, who has a home run in this game. The 1-1. Right across Broadway for strike 2, and once again down to the final strike.
Well, not only does Gonzalez have one in this game, but it was against Pakala last inning.
Here comes the 1-2. Fouls that one away. Stays alive.
Pakala goes for the breaking ball there, trying to get some outside movement, and didn't fool Ross, who expanded his zone a little bit to stay alive.
Well, that's what you need to do. You need to be aggressive, not only as a pitcher, but also as the hitter. The 1-2, Hopper, that one gets into center field. And Spencer Ross has a trio of singles on the day. Panthers, 2 straight singles with 2 away. Both situations coming with 2 strikes. Raul Gonzalez will step in here. 10-5 is the score. And watches that one go well outside for a ball.
But at the same time, if you're Raul Gonzalez, yes, he had that home run last inning, but home run might not be really what you want in this situation. One swing isn't going to tie the game, and you don't want to kill your rally.
That one goes down into the dirt. And that's the huge thing with momentum in baseball games. You touched on it earlier in this ball game where a rally, keeping that momentum going, playing that small ball and just getting those key hits, as that one's going to paint the inside edge, according to the home plate umpire. And Gonzalez is shaking his head, and the fans are not thrilled with Jamie Killingsworth right now.
And Raul had some words there for Killingsworth, and no response from the home plate umpire.
The 2-1 fouled off. And for the third batter in a row, we have reached a pair of strikes.
Tackle has had some issues finishing these batters off, and just needs to be aggressive here and stay away from the sweet spot of Gonzalez, which is down low in the zone.
Swing and a miss, and he strikes out. And that is the ball game. And Gonzalez will walk off, and the Baycats will get into the win column for their third straight game. 16-8 record, the final here at Jack Couch. Barrie 10, Kitchener 5, as the long ball was a huge factor in this one. We'll get through all of that on the other side of the break. We'll have our post-game report in just a couple of moments. Stay with us. This is Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube.
Located in the heart of downtown Kitchener, the museum is an emerging cultural hub of activity.
Well, the museum is an organization that's on a high trajectory, and we have raised the bar of cultural generally, I believe.
Unheard of in smaller towns, the museum has housed world-renowned exhibits such as Andy Warhol and now the Titanic.
Titanic is a spectacular exhibit. It's a very, very personal exhibit. As you come through, you're given a boarding pass and you assume the name of one of the people actually on the ship.
With Kitchener's high-tech industry rapidly growing, plans for expanding the museum are also in the works.
So our plans for the future are to grow our footprint and add more space so that we can get to a point of having two exhibits at the same time, one focused on the technology side while one's focused on the art side.
Minutes from city center condominiums, your days of leisure will only be enriched by a visit to the museum.
At Enterprise, we're a committed team, helping you get to what matters most. Getting you there begins with our employees, who are motivated to make a difference for you every day. Connecting you to all the places you love. Enterprise.
Welcome back to Kitchener Panthers Baseball on YouTube. I'm Mark Pare alongside Julius Hern. Quite the ball game here if you're a Barrie Baycats fan. The long ball, the big story for the Baycats in this one. A final score 10-5, and many of those coming from the home runs. Of course, a grand slam being a key part of that from Hayden Jacob early on.
Absolutely. Part of a 4-run third inning, obviously all coming on that grand slam, but then they even backed it up with another 4 runs in the 4th inning. 4 home runs seems to be the magic number 4, right? Mm-hmm. 4 home runs on the day for the Baycats, and topping it off was Brandon Hernandez in the 8th, just that extra one to get to double digits for his first home run in the IBL this year. It seemed like home runs were not necessarily non-existent, but they weren't coming as often as they were last year for the Baycats over the last couple weeks. But now it seems like, especially after the 3 that were happening on Thursday night against Kitchener in Barrie, they've just been on a roll with the long ball lately.
Of course, for Kitchener, that's been kind of their Achilles heel lately. Giving up the long ball. 4 home runs given up here in this ball game make that 42 home runs against on the season, last in the IBL in that category. Of course, this ballpark doesn't really help them with that kind of matter, but at the same time, too, they were able to take advantage of the long ball as well.
Absolutely. A couple of big ones. Raul Gonzalez, that one in the 8th inning, kind of bringing them back into the game a little bit, making in a 6-run game, and he had another chance to bring that score closer to even in the 9th inning, but he was the last out. A big K for Braden Packle to close this one out, his first finished game of the season.
Juan Benitez sharp here once again.
Absolutely. Been extremely efficient over those last 3 appearances. 3 straight starts for him over 6 innings, each coming off that complete game. He had a ton of momentum coming into this one, really just letting his defense work behind him, and that's been his game plan.
You get a key victory if you're the Barrie Baycats yesterday against Welland, a big 6-5 victory over the Jackfish. How did you feel the Baycats carried that momentum into this ball game?
Well, they knew they had a little bit more to work with yesterday. A really short bench. They literally had to use everybody they had. They were lucky that Chris Lazar hadn't come out of the game, that he was still able to play in the field with the injuries that the Baycats had yesterday. Today, a little bit, less worrisome. They had more of a bench to work with. Not that they really needed it with all the offense they got early on, but a huge win like that could be the turning point to their season yesterday, carrying it back into today and a couple back-to-back games this week before the All-Star break.
Of course, Welland now on a 2-game losing skid, and we heard a little bit of the momentum swing, if you will, and maybe that click into the minds of the Baycats players when it was being announced on the public address speakers here at Jack Couch Park. Now putting themselves even closer to catching the Jackfish for first place.
Yeah, and they're within 3 games of the Jackfish now, and London didn't crawl any closer with their game being canceled today. So, again, huge momentum standings-wise for the Baycats heading into this week, but also if you want to look at it in the sense that they still have 4 games against the Jackfish towards the end of the season. So a lot of ground still could be made up directly between those 4 matchups.
For the Kitchener Panthers, meantime, Jose Vasquez goes 3 2/3, strikes out 3, gives up 11 hits, 8 runs, 7 of them earned. Not exactly what you usually see from a Jose Vasquez start, but again, this is one of those times of the season where Kitchener, winners of 6 of 7 coming in, they lose a pair to the Baycats in a matter of a few days. They got a couple of chances before the All-Star break to pick up a couple of key victories here before they go and have a couple of players go to Welland next Saturday.
If you're the Kitchener Panthers, you probably shouldn't look at these 2 losses as too much of a heartbreaker. They're against the same team, right? There's still 7 more teams in the IBL to pick up your wins on. These are just 2 games against a Barrie team that has become hot over the last couple of weeks, especially with Juan Benitez having got the start today. But also heading into this week, another Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back for Kitchener. They're going to probably have their 2 best pitchers on the mound. Yadier Martinez, I'm sure, will have a start in there. Pedro De Los Santos might pitch before the All-Star game if he doesn't pitch in the All-Star game. So still a lot to look forward to for Kitchener. Their 5-game win streak could definitely be replicated towards the end of July.
3 wins for the Barrie Baycats over the Kitchener Panthers this season. We're going to wrap up and say so long from Jack Couch. Again, the final, 10-5.